News is that the university has balanced a budget for the first time since 2012. The bad news is that UWM has lost about 15% of their faculty since the fall of 2014. Scott Walker says if he wins in November, his third term will be his last. And the Packers beat the Bills yesterday 22-0. It was their first shutout since 2010. For Real Resistance Radio, I'm Keith Gostad.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, welcome back, my little buddy.
Crudy, it's good to be back, my dear friend. What's been going on since I've been gone?
Mostly the Brewers have been playing some outstanding baseball. We'll keep you abreast of the end of the Brewers game. Brewers and Cubs. Brewers up 3-1. But you want to keep it here. It's going to be the final out right now. So Beantown. It's not the final out, but 2 outs. Brewers will pull through momentarily. Dom, you were in Beantown.
Yeah, man.
What were you doing in Boston?
You know, Steffi, my lovely wife, loves to surprise me, and so we ended up going to Boston and to Cape Cod. She coordinated with my cousin Joe from Detroit to meet us out there, and man, I loved it. We had a great time. Beautiful city, beautiful area in Cape Cod. Great food, lots of drinks, and, you know, the birthplace of the revolution. I felt very at home in the resistance.
Did you eat the chowder?
No, but I ate plenty of lobster.
Oh, plenty of lobster.
Yeah.
Ooh, lobster.
You'd have
Another
liked
one of
it.
my big favorites.
You'd have liked it, Crudy.
I would have liked it. I would have liked the eats. You're going to like this big show. We've got Mark Pocan, Congressman Mark Pocan, coming around very soon. We'll share the end of the Brewer game with him. Assuming it's over by then. I think it's going to be over momentarily. But a big show. Mark Pocan coming in like 3 minutes, 2 minutes.
Who does the booking on this show, dude?
I do the booking on this show. Primarily, I'm not saying you've never booked Ron Johnson.
Hey, you're welcome.
And your guy Ron gets himself in trouble of late. We'll talk about that during this big show.
Come on, Ron.
Apparently wants to characterize Blasey Ford as having created false memories.
And not Kavanaugh? Why just Ford?
He's all down for Team Kavanaugh. Him and Leah Buchmer. You're down for Kavanaugh as well, I suspect.
No,
Did you watch any of
I'm out partying, man, on my anniversary. We're having fun, eating, drinking, walking around, checking out the site. But I did keep, abreast a little bit, Crudy. Saw some of your posting. But I finally, last night, once I got home from Boston, pulled up the Saturday Night Live. And I couldn't believe how similar it was to the actual testimony when I was reviewing some of the audio today.
You mean the Matt Damon?
Yeah,
that
Matt
was
Damon
hilarious.
was spectacular. But the real Judge Kavanaugh, what a douchebag. I mean, this guy's got to go. The definitions of the things he said that he was referring to in his yearbook, those are not correct. He's lying to the Senate? Well, we'll get into that as well.
You know what? We're expecting Mark Pocan very shortly. Is it too early? I had a song picked out for the end of segment 1. Let's hold on for a moment longer. See if it's appropriate. Runner on for the Cubs, the tying runner at the plate.
So what's going on here, Crudy? Cubs, Milwaukee, why are they playing another game today?
Game 163, mostly because Christian Yelich has had this unbelievable season. He's been an MVP, and he has carried that team on its back.
For the Brewers.
Yes. They were like 5 back of the Cubs a week and a half ago. It wasn't so long ago that it looked like the Brewers were out of the division. Just happy to be in the wild card.
They went 9-1 their last 10 games.
Yeah, not bad.
Not bad at all.
How'd the Cubs do? You're a Cubs guy, right, Fancy?
4. Yeah,
I'm a huge Cubs guy.
So it's
The
not
only
like
thing
the
where I don't-
Cubs limped in, but they kind of...
They were on a downturn. They've been tired for a while. Not that that's an excuse because it's baseball and you're supposed to be tired. 162 games, you're pretty much playing every day. But the Cubs played every day for like a stretch of like 30, 40 days.
And then they cried about it. Or at least their fans are.
I'm not. I'm just saying, look, the only thing I have wrong with the Brewers is that they're not the Cubs. Other than that, they've had a fantastic season, and they've done it without really a solid pitching staff, and that's amazing.
Come on, man. They got a unbelievable bullpen.
Yeah, absolutely. But their starting pitching staff, I challenge them to any of them go past 4 or 5 innings ever.
I'd like to see a big guy like you hit a major league pitcher. Any of the Brewers pitchers. Any of them.
I'll try. I'm not saying I can, but that doesn't mean that the Cubs can't.
If you ever made solid
right
contact, I bet you'd hit it a long way.
I look like Pete Vukovich from Major League.
You're a big fella.
Yeah, you and he look very similar. I tell you what, let's take our break. I guess this song, not quite appropriate yet.
I think it's pretty close.
Yeah, but is it too early to declare?
No, it's not too early.
We are the NL Central Division champions.
What do you think, Brian? Is it too early?
It's either one strike too early.
Don't worry about it. It's over.
You think it's over?
No, I know it is. I'm a couple seconds ahead of you.
Oh, come on, man! You just said spoiler alert. Josh Hader's about to end it.
Congratulations. Now the Cubs have the opportunity to be completely screwed by a one-game playoff tomorrow.
How does that work? So if they lose the playoff, they're out?
Yeah, it's a one-game wild card playoff. If you made the wild card, you get to play one game to enter in the...
warning track power. Since Brian already wrecked the outcome, we'll tell you. Josh Hader closed it down, got the save. Brewers win! Brewers win!
Yes!
NL Northern.
I really hope
Central Division.
I really want the Cubs to win tomorrow so that they can. I want a rematch. I want a full series between these two teams. They have a fantastic rivalry. I think it's great.
Brewers win the game. 2018 National League Central champions.
And that means the Cubbies are the first losers.
Second best team in the league.
Who cares? First losers, man. Either you're first or you're last. Come back with us and a fine congressman, our friend Mark Pocan. I hope he caught the end of the Brewer game. We'll update him otherwise. The politics will commence very soon, but right now, go Brewers.
Well, let's give him credit. At least he didn't spike himself.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve. Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
The Forum, hosted by Sherwin Hughes, exclusively on Real Resistance Radio. Call in live at 844-967-2789 and give your thoughts, feelings, and opinions on local and national topics. Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. until 11 a.m., it will not be what you expect to hear, but we will definitely give you what you need to know. That's The Forum, hosted by Sherwin Hughes on Real Resistance Radio. Always streaming live on realresistanceradio.com.
Constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball.
back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Real Resistance Radio, streaming live on YouTube and Facebook, on Twitter at Devil Radio. Phone lines open for you, 844-967-2789, toll free, talk or text.
Dominic, apparently you got the time wrong. Mark Pocan,
Yeah.
1 hour from now.
Who does the booking around here, Brian? I'm not clear.
Well, I do the booking. I just assumed you must have gotten the time wrong. My bad. Mark Pocan, 410 Central. Now, his booker, the gentleman I was working with, Ron's put Mark on the show many, many times. But he switched. He went from Eastern Time to Central Time within the body of the same email. I got confused.
Just a bit outside.
My bad.
Well, the Brewers won, Crudy. It doesn't matter.
It does not matter. I'm wearing my Ryan Braun jersey today. The only small disappointment.
He looks like Kid from Kid and Play. Just want to say that.
Who does?
The guy with the flat top. Ryan Braun and him are the same person.
You shut up, Cubs fan. You suck.
PED's blaming another guy.
there.
PED's blaming another guy.
Anyways, now you've made me forget my point. Son of a...
All right, so Mark Pocan, our congressman, calling in the 4 o'clock hour, Crudy. So I think we need to hammer some Kavanaugh.
Let's do so.
Did you get to see any of it live, Crudy? How did you,
we broadcast it live. Where were you when Kavanaugh started crying in front of the nation?
Oh my God! You know, Crudy, is this? It's like a bad movie. You know, I mean, this well-to-do, well-educated, went to the finest schools, East Coast.
No, he didn't. He busted his butt. He only got in by the skin of his teeth and hard work. And
nobody gave him nothing and had no connections to Yale except his, grandfather?
Legacy grandfather.
Oh, yeah. But other than that, no way. Just busted his ass and there, pulled himself up by his bootstraps. And
the prep school education. That didn't help at all.
No, not at all. And then the constant references to this yearbook and the explaining and how can these senators, how can they talk to this guy and not laugh in his face? And then the way Kavanaugh was responding to questions by asking other questions. When I saw because again, I got to tell you, I saw
you're a blackout drunk.
Saturday Night Live's sketch first, and then I saw some of the testimony from Kavanaugh. When I was watching SNL, I was like, well, you got to be kidding me. This is hilarious. Did he actually act like this? Yes, he actually did.
Brian's not playing along. Must be
Monday.
planning his rotisserie baseball.
Did you order the code red? You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
There was one. Who was the exchange with? We have that sound. It reminded me of that cut.
Klobuchar. Which one? There was Sheldon Whitehouse, and there was Klobuchar, and he was very jerky to the guys interviewing him for a lifetime job, right?
I know.
I get it, but the guy showed his true colors here. Not only is he a big fat liar, and I think we'll talk more about the lyingness, the falsehoods of Kavanaugh, but he's also a jerk, and he showed his true colors, and he's a big wuss. There's no crying in Supreme Court confirmation.
You don't yell and cry during an interview and then ask the person interviewing you who is questioning some of your behavior if they engaged in that behavior. I know you are, but what am I?
And lots of obfuscation, especially around the diary. Now, I said it last week in your absence, Tom, but any man that offers a high school diary as some proof of alibi, I really question. But anyways.
Do you have anything from 1982 yet, Crudy?
I'm not sure if I got a high school yearbook.
I have some yearbooks. I might have a stuffed animals from when I was 6 years old.
What?
Yeah. I got a box.
Animals?
I got a box of stuff. I got a box. Maybe 2. But not much. I don't have calendars or tests or books or
just stuffed animals?
From come on, when I was
I've lost all respect for you.
Come on. So I have to wonder, why did he keep a calendar for all these years? And why was he crying?
Future alibi calendar?
Why was he crying?
I'm not at all clear.
I get it, but don't you want, if you're involved in something like this, Crudy, wouldn't you be very specific and direct and to the point? But he seems like a guilty person. And when I see now who was Trump's who was Trump's campaign lady who came out and said that
Kellyanne Conway.
Kellyanne Conway came out and said that she was a victim of sexual assault, and I think it was Tapper who was interviewing her at the time, said, wow, I didn't know that. You don't share a lot of personal things with us, and I'm very sorry. I mean, Tapper believed her immediately, and I'm sure a lot of Republicans believed her immediately, and I got to wonder, well, why do you believe her immediately? If this is just a hit job orchestrated by the Clintons and throw in some George Soros, why don't you believe the woman who's making the claims if you believe it when the Republican says it? Because, of course, all the Republicans believe Kavanaugh and all the Dems believe Ford? I mean, is this what it comes down to?
Nancy Pelosi, House Minority Leader, formerly the Speaker of the House a couple times, John Bowden reporting at The Hill, House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi on Saturday urged Democrats to take it one step at a time on Brett Kavanaugh, but said if the Supreme Court nominee is found to be untruthful, he is unfit to even serve in his current role on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit. Speaking at the 2018 Texas Tribune Festival in an interview with Showtime's The Circus host Alex Wagner, Pelosi addressed whether Democrats would be open to impeaching Kavanaugh should they win the House majority in the November midterms. Well, let's take it one step at a time. I was asked that yesterday morning, and I said, divine intervention, whatever it takes. Let's see if we can't get to a better place than that, Pelosi told the audience. But let me say this. If Judge Kavanaugh, if he is not telling the truth to Congress or to the FBI, then he's not fit not only to be on the Supreme Court, but to be on the court that he's on right now.
Amen, sister.
She added. Now, President Trump on Friday agreed to the Senate GOP's request for a supplemental FBI background check investigation into sexual assault allegations against Kavanaugh, delaying his nomination at least a week down. But if I understand it, and I've seen various accounts, Trump only wants sort of kind of an FBI investigation. Nothing too important, nothing too deep or digging, and hurry it up. Got to move this confirmation right along to the Supreme Court, right?
The Hill reporting today, Crudy, the White House has reportedly permitted the FBI to interview anyone deemed appropriate in its investigation into sexual misconduct allegations against Kavanaugh. The New York Times reported Monday that the White House gave authorization to expand the investigation from an initial limited list of witnesses provided to that the review is completed by the end of the week. The FBI has already spoken with the 4 individuals it had been given permission to speak to, the New York Times reported. The White House did not immediately respond to a request for comment.
Dominic, the question becomes, did Kavanaugh lie? And was he lying about the little things? And if you lie about the little things, why? Why are you lying about the little things? I've been deposed. I've been to court. I've had to give testimony both on behalf of myself, on behalf of clients.
Under oath.
Under oath every time.
Under perjury.
And you better be very absolutely clear. If you're not entirely clear, if you can say, well, I think it's this, but I don't remember with clarity, you better specify. And if they ask me, if the judge asks me, hey, have you ever blackout drunk? Have you ever gotten inebriated to the point you could not remember your actions in all or part? I wouldn't turn around and say, have you, Judge?
We have that sound, Brian. Let's get to it. We're going to bounce around here. Lots of sound to emphasize the points today. Cut number 132, if you would please, Fancy Brian.
So you're saying there's never been a case where you drank so much that you didn't remember what happened the night before or part of what happened?
You're asking about, blackout. I don't know. Have you?
What?
Could you answer the question, Judge? That's not happened. Is that your answer?
Yeah, and I'm curious if you have.
I have no drinking problem, Judge.
Yeah, nor do I.
Okay.
What?
Thank you.
You got to be kidding me.
Now, he did apologize for his rude words to Klobuchar. After the fact, I took very little solace in the apology. Somebody tuned his butt up.
Let's hear that. Let's hear the apology. I'm sure he was very, very sorry.
Started my last colloquy by saying to Senator Klobuchar how much I respect her and respected what she did at the last hearing. And she asked me a question at the end that I responded by asking her a question, and I didn't sorry I did that. This is a tough process. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, it sure is tough when you're getting raked over the coals for something that you probably did.
Didn't only do it to one Democratic senator, he also did it to Sheldon Whitehouse. Sheldon Whitehouse asked him about his drinking, and he answered a question with the question again.
We have several of the White House clips. Let's get to those. Crudy, cut number 143, please.
Let's look at Beach Week Ralph Club biggest contributor. What does the word Ralph mean in that?
That probably refers to throwing up. I'm known to have a weak stomach, and I always have. In fact, the last time I was here, you asked me about having ketchup on spaghetti. I always have had a weak stomach.
Ketchup on spaghetti? What? Weak stomach? What? Nothing to do with drinking. You're just very sensitive. Hey, Brett?
I thought he was telling him basically sit on it, Potsy.
Let's keep going. White House and Kavanaugh, 144.
Did the word Ralph you used in your yearbook
I already answered the question. If you're,
did it relate to alcohol?
I like
you
beer.
Haven't answered that.
I like beer. I don't know if you do.
Okay.
Do you like beer, Senator, or not? What do you like to drink?
Next one is
Senator. What do you like to drink?
Judge, have you? I don't know if it's buffed or boofed. How do you pronounce that?
That refers to flatulence. We were 16.
I'm not clear that it does, Brett.
I had not heard that term before, but apparently it doesn't mean what Kavanaugh claims that it means, Tom.
Let's get some more boofing in White House v. Kavanaugh.
And so when your friend Mark Judge said put the same thing in his yearbook page back to you, he had the same meaning. It was flatulence.
I don't know what he did, but that's my recollection. We want to talk about flatulence at age 16 on a yearbook page. I'm game.
And finally, what? What, pray tell, is the Devil's Triangle?
Devil's Triangle?
Drinking game.
How's it played?
3 glasses in a triangle.
And?
You ever played quarters?
No.
Okay, it's a quarters game.
Yes. It's not a quarters game. I played quarters.
No.
I played beer pong.
No.
I played almost every beer drinking game known to man. And Devil's Triangle means something entirely different.
My understanding, Crudy, after doing some interweb searching, a threesome, 2 males, 1 female.
Come back with us. More Devil's Triangle on the other side. 844-967-2789.
Yo, bartender! Yo, food needs a refill!
Wall Street hates it like the devil hates holy water.
Up your butt, Joe Boo.
Devil's Triangle?
Don't worry, nobody's listening anyway.
Dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14.
13?
We took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted. He realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
5 your local single-source IT solutions provider. Specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
It's hard to dream when you're fighting for 15. This is Pizza Box Mike for Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Check out fightfor15.org to get involved in the fight for 15.
Do you love public education? Do you want to support your schools? Then you should support the people who make them work. You should support teachers and their unions. Teachers' working conditions are students' learning conditions, and when the school bell rings, it is crucial that teachers do not check their rights at the door. The ability to organize and advocate around issues that improve the quality of a teacher's workplace will increase opportunities for students and make schools safer for everyone. Stand with teachers, stand with WEAC Region 7.
We recently did a photo shoot with photographer Linda Smallpage to show the expressive radio personalities here at Real Resistance Radio. For over 2 decades, Linda Smallpage, owner of Boutique Photographer, has been the woman behind the lens creating images of Milwaukee families and business owners. Located in Whitefish Bay, Linda offers studio and location work throughout southeast Wisconsin for commercial headshots, business branding, nonprofits, and playful family portraits. Visit boutiquephotographer.com to connect with your Milwaukee photographer, Linda Smallpage, or look for her link on our sponsor page.
I'm Andy Buck, Field Representative with Painters and Allied Trades of Wisconsin. It's an issue that brings constant challenges for building contractors. How to find qualified painters, glazers, and drywall finishers. IUPAT knows what you want. A professional job performed by skilled workers who care about safety, training, and finishing strong. Workers who are reliable and ready on demand. Let IUPAT provide the people power that you need. You'll feel confident the job is finished right. Connect at IUPATDC7.com and finish strong.
Tune in to Real Resistance Radio. Start your weekday off with the Earl Ingram Show from 6 to 8 a.m. Next, it's The Forum with Sherwin Hughes from 8 to 11. Then from 11 to 2, it's the Tom Hartman Program. At 2 o'clock, it's the Brian Kelly Show. Then from 3 to 6, it's the Devil's Advocates. Mandatory listening. Always streaming at realresistanceradio.com.
For Real Resistance Radio, my name is Keith Gosted. Senator Ron Johnson is dismissing the testimony of Christine Blasey Ford about her alleged assault by Brett Kavanaugh, according to an article by Daniel Bice in the Journal Sentinel. Johnson says Ford may be experiencing, quote, false memories. The Republican senator made the comments in a video recorded by a local filmmaker Friday at Mitchell International Airport. Johnson said he will vote to confirm Kavanaugh, calling him a, quote, good, decent person. Monday, rain, highs around 60. Tonight, rain, lows in the mid-50s. Tuesday, mostly cloudy, highs in the low 60s. Wednesday, mostly cloudy and windy, highs in the upper 70s. For Real Resistance Radio, my name is Keith Gosted.
I don't know if you know the Devil's Advocates, but they are kind of a big deal.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show, celebrating a big Brewers victory, 3-1. They won the NL Central title in a tiebreaker over the Cubbies. Suck it, Brian.
Wow. That's just harsh. Man.
Yes.
It's very Kavanaugh.
I never liked you Cubs fans. I don't know if you know this. I don't like anything about the state of Illinois. John Pope, one of our pals, messages out, how about them Brewers? And then another one. I'm toasting Kavanaugh right now with a celebratory beer.
Nice.
Because I now know how much he likes beer.
He really likes beer.
Now, we're going to take some phone calls momentarily, 844-967-2789. But wanted to get this topic, boofing. Why is that important? And why the FBI should investigate boofing, at least according to this Politico article, Brian Phelan and Christopher King. As the FBI reopens its background check investigation into Brett Kavanaugh, the scope of its review must go beyond the serious allegations of sexual assault made by Christine Blasey Ford and Debbie Ramirez. For its investigation to be comprehensive, the FBI must also get to the bottom of what boofing means.
I can't believe this is what our conversation is.
Pucker up, Buttercup.
The term was one of several raunchy references in Kavanaugh's high school yearbook. When questioned at last week's hearing about the meaning of these inside jokes, Kavanaugh conveniently had an innocent explanation at the ready for each. None, however, was credible. Devil's Triangle, Kavanaugh said it was a drinking game, not the sexual reference that a simple Google search suggests. Ralph Club, that Kavanaugh said, referred to how weak his stomach, how his weak stomach often could not handle spicy food, not vomiting caused by excessive drinking, and boofing. Kavanaugh said it referred to flatulence. The answer prompted laughter in the hearing room, and Kavanaugh leveraged the moment to try and belittle the entire line of questioning. You want to talk about flatulence at 16 on a yearbook page, he sneered at Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, I'm game. Under normal circumstances, Kavanaugh might be right to consider an overreach for the world's most deliberative body to be grilling a Supreme Court nominee about crude jokes in his high school yearbook. But in Kavanaugh's case, the yearbook references are relevant. Since facing sexual assault allegations, Kavanaugh has tried to cast himself as a choir boy during high school and college years, stressing his time spent attending church and performing service projects. But the yearbook offers a glimpse of Kavanaugh that Ford and Ramirez remember, a young man who drank to excess and found humor in the disrespecting of women. Kavanaugh's answers to the Senate about the meaning of his yearbook references defy credulity and directly undermine his credibility. They suggest he is unwilling to admit the truth about even the smallest of matters.
How very Trumpy of him.
In another such instance that arose during a Senate hearing, Kavanaugh was asked about a reference to a female friend, Renate Dolphin. Kavanaugh called himself a Renate alumnus in his yearbook, seeming to imply that he had slept with her. That at least is how Dolphin interpreted. Upon being shown the yearbook in recent days, she declared herself betrayed and hurt by the false inference Kavanaugh was making. But when quizzed about it, Kavanaugh did not own up to making a cruel joke about at Dolphin's expense. Instead, he claimed the reference was entirely innocent. It simply conveyed she was part of his social circle, he said, and he blamed the media for mischaracterizing it as a reference to sex.
Crudy, the answer, like others, just didn't pass the laugh test. Here is where the FBI should come in. As part of its probe this week, the FBI must obviously seek to get to the bottom of the highly credible allegations made by Ford and Kavanaugh's other accusers. But there is a chance the FBI might uncover additional evidence or testimony that further corroborates the women's claims. But if not, especially as reports suggest that the White House is narrowing its scope of the probe and hamstringing the investigators' ability to get to the truth of the allegations, but that's been updated. This is an older story. The FBI must examine Kavanaugh's credibility and candor. Yes, that's kind of the whole point. I know a lot of you righties out there think that this is not a free trial. It's not a trial. I continue. FBI agents will not provide a conclusion or judgment about Kavanaugh's credibility, but they can and must look to his Senate testimony and present senators with evidence that refutes or corroborates it. For example, FBI investigators should ask Kavanaugh's football teammates, many of whom also dubbed themselves Renate alumni in their own yearbook entries, exactly what the reference meant. They should ask Kavanaugh's friend Mark Judge, whose yearbook entry also referenced boofing, if he agrees, under oath, that it means what Kavanaugh says it does. They should find the friends who supposedly played Devil's Triangle with Kavanaugh.
Well, aren't they referencing Mark Judge? Again, if you at least believe some of the allegations.
Regardless of whether such petty lies could ever amount to perjury, they provide glimpses into Kavanaugh's character and candor. As Kavanaugh well knows, in our legal system, even small lies matter. In jury trials, there is a standard instruction to jurors that if they conclude a witness is lying about any matter, they have the right to dismiss that witness's entire testimony as potentially untruthful. Kavanaugh's own mother was a judge, and he has described her judicial philosophy as this: use your common sense, what rings true, what rings false. Senators Wade and Kavanaugh's fate should apply the same standard. To date, many of them have tried to dismiss Ford's allegations as a case of he said, she said, but any proof that Kavanaugh lied under oath should cause senators to err on the side of believing her over him. Furthermore, anyone prone to such casual lying is not fit to serve a lifetime appointment on the nation's highest court. After all, if Kavanaugh can't be trusted to tell the truth about even minor stuff, why should we trust him on anything else?
He's not playing the same game I'm playing. I'm playing baseball like a division winner, and Mr. Cubs producer in there, he's playing.
Come on, man. We got like 100 cuts here
What
today.
game are you playing?
Do we have
Objection. Overruled. No. No, I strenuously object. Oh, wow. Strenuously object, and I should take some time to reconsider.
So the FBI should absolutely investigate boofing, Devil's Triangle. If they're going to go through and talk to everybody that he knew, the people in the circle of friends, and if they come back with different definitions, different activities of what his recollection was, certainly that should cause even the Republican senators to have some concerns about Kavanaugh.
Now, Dominic, you and I were college roommates.
Yes, we were.
There are a few conversations you and I would not want to have under oath under any circumstance.
What consenting adults do, Crudy, is entirely up to them. And if I was going to be interviewed for a Supreme Court appointment, I would expect to have those discussions.
True or false? I've seen you naked.
True. True or false? I've seen you naked.
True.
See? We're getting there, Crudy. But listen, this
true or false? You've drinking to excess or been a blackout drunk at some point in your life.
Have you ever blacked out, Crudy?
Sure.
Have you?
And I've got a weak stomach.
Yeah, yes, you do.
I'd be in the Ralph Club if...
Well, but that's the point. I mean, listen, I get it. When you engage in these behaviors as a young man... Hell, I was in Boston. I didn't think I'd drink to pass out, but I certainly had a lot of drinks when I was traveling out of town.
Sam Adams?
No, actually. But
standard tequila?
Tequila, vodka, beer. Yeah, I got to throw in a couple of White Russians. I mean, what the hell? Whatever's around. But
were you out drinking with Trump? A couple of White Russians. You get it.
But and I understand because I would hate to be... You're going to be judged, right?
Judge not, lest ye be judged.
But I was a drinker. I am a drinker. I smoke pot.
I like beer.
I like beer. Everybody likes. Let's play some of this. So when he goes with Klobuchar and says, "What did you ever black out?" Well, she says, "I don't have a drinking problem." Well, I don't have a drinking problem either. But how many times does he reference beer in this testimony? I couldn't believe it, Crudy. Let's get through.
I've not yet begun to defile myself.
Brian, we're going to bounce around 118 Kavanaugh on drinking beer.
I drank beer with my friends. Almost everyone did. Sometimes I had too many beers. Sometimes others did. I liked beer. I still like beer.
I get a little bloaty with beer.
I know, that's why I love the booze
good beer, I'll have a couple of good beers, but, I don't drink to excess with beer.
Let's bounce around.
And I don't recall puking on beer anytime since college.
But if you did, would you lie about it?
Well, not on the radio. No, everybody knows, man.
No, I mean, so what? Sometimes, as a child, you, as a kid, as a young adult, you drink to excess. I've done it. Man, I cannot have summer Hummers, Alabama Slammers. I can't even smell
summer Hummers. Is that part of the Kavanaugh testimony?
It's a drinking game.
Yeah. Let's hear more of all the lovely drinking, the beer that he loves. Cut 120, please, Brian.
If every American who drinks beer or every American who drank beer in high school is suddenly presumed guilty of sexual assault, we'll be in an ugly new place in this country.
No. It's only those that drank beer perhaps to excess and had a history of insulting and assaulting women. And lying about stupid things like throwing up and passing out to a Senate committee, maybe those are the ones that should be concerned. Let's bounce around here, Brian. Let's do 126.
Dr. Ford has described you as being intoxicated at a party. Did you consume alcohol during your high school years?
Yes, we drank beer. My friends and I, the boys and girls, yes, we drank beer. I liked beer. Still like beer.
Beer. Lot of beer. Do you think?
If we had a beer company as a sponsor, I wouldn't show that much love for beer.
Come on, we're in Milwaukee, man. We love beer, but we could use some beer sponsors. That would be great. But in and of itself, drinking beer, passing out, throwing up, those things will happen if you consume too much alcohol. That does not automatically make a person a sexual assaulter. So when you lie about the stupid things, when you lie about what is obviously not flatulence, what is obviously not a drinking game, well, aren't you lying perhaps about other things as well? And finally, Crudy, when you look at the courage that Ford takes to stand up and say these things, she's got nothing to gain, and Kavanaugh has everything to lose. I mean, what did his own mother say? Use common sense.
Dominic, have you boofed yet?
I have not engaged in consuming drugs or alcohol by inserting them into my rectum. No, that's not my thing. Have you?
I just thought we were talking about flatulence.
Oh, yeah. I had some beans earlier. 844-967-2789. They're very simple questions. You don't got to be offended. You're the one that wrote them down in your yearbook. Come on, man. Jake from Milwaukee.
Dear Diary.
I can't believe it happened to me. Dear Penthouse. Hey, Jake, what's happening?
Yeah, for some reason I want to watch Strange Brew. It's been a while. Anyways, what is it with Ron Johnson? You know, he could have just said, I am going to vote for Kavanaugh, and just said it that way. But he had to say something stupid and cruel. I mean, does he not know how not to do that? I mean, it's hilarious.
You know, Ron Johnson, a friend of the show, but at least 3 occasions, Ron Johnson has been awfully wrong on sexual assault. Ron Johnson, when a private citizen, gave testimony on behalf of the Catholic Church and said that they should be able to shield their assets from the bankruptcy court, talking about, you know, the sexual molestation accusations against the church and the huge payouts that were coming. Ron Johnson gave testimony on behalf of the Catholic Church. I believe he's a Lutheran. Above and beyond that, it was his staffer that was sexually assaulted by Bill Kramer. And Ron has defended himself and said, well, the woman didn't want to publicly disclose. And then Ron went along with it. So this perpetrator, this Bill Kramer, who became the Assembly Majority Leader in the state of Wisconsin after he perpetrated a sexual offense against Ron Johnson's staffer, and Ron was aware. And Ron Johnson let it pass, and then, of course, Kramer perpetrated twice more, pled down to a misdemeanor so he could, move on in his career, but ultimately had a drinking problem that led to sexual assault that he was convicted of, and Ron knew before anybody else knew. And then this most recent statement, coming home on an airplane, gets caught by some citizen reporter at Mitchell Field and came out and said, well, Dr. Blasey Ford must be experiencing false memories.
Look it up.
I read about it once.
And yeah, because Ron Johnson is a board-certified doctor in psychiatry and psychology, as we all know.
Well, and here's the other thing, Jake. What about the flip side of that coin? If that's your premise, Senator Johnson, then isn't it just as likely that perhaps Kavanaugh did it and just didn't remember? Is that not plausible?
No, that is not plausible because Brett Kavanaugh is a conservative Republican.
And
I know Ron likes beer. Ron brings beer.
Well, yeah, I kind of want to drink a beer now. It's just all this talk of beer.
Well, hell, Jake, the Brewers won today, so if there's going to be a time to celebrate beer and the Brewers, because, Brewers make the beer and play some damn good baseball.
And then conservatives drink the beer and apparently, allegedly, sexually assault young ladies, and then they cry innocence. How dare you? You've ruined my life. What do you think you did to that young lady's life?
Right, dude. It's just so self-centered and so woe is me with Kavanaugh and all the Republicans and all the Facebook trolls that are out there that just think, that Ford's just going to stand up and do this as just to cause problems because that's what the left does?
I know that the actual sexual assault report rate is like 15%. So 85% of sexual assaults do not get reported. And setting aside perhaps domestic allegations within the context of relationships, what is the actual occurrence? It's got to be about as rare as in-person voter fraud that these Republicans got to pass voter ID laws. I mean, people don't do that with any regularity. You don't hear about credible false accusations being made about sexual assault. At least I don't with any frequency. Come back. More of your calls, 844-967-2789. Go Brewers!
Tell you what, dipshit. You don't like my policies, you can just come on down here and smooch my big old white butt. Pucker up, Buttercup.
I drank beer with my friends.
Now, for the only thing better than Dove.
Better than Dove?
What are you talking about? Free Dove stuff. Oh, yeah.
Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison, resisting dirty carpets and harsh chemicals. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We're not using any soaps. We're not using any chemicals. We cost about the same as the other guys. You look at it and you go, where's the downside? You got a completely green clean. That's awesome. We guarantee it. There's no downside.
There's no downside. Use Zero Res. Call Zero Res today. 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
Josh Call, the candidate for Wisconsin Attorney General.
Do you think voter ID had a suppressive effect, not on 100 voters, but on thousands of voters and perhaps tipped the election to Donald Trump?
This is an issue that came up at our trial. And first of all, I should thank you guys because we actually introduced into evidence the recording of you interviewing Dale Schultz, who was talking about the passage of the voter ID law. That was one of our pieces of evidence.
I would have gotten away with it, too, if it wasn't for those meddling devil's advocates. The Devil's Advocates, radio for nasty women everywhere.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Real Resistance Radio, streaming on YouTube and Facebook, on Twitter at Devil Radio. And the party lines are open. We'll take some callers right now at 844-967-2789.
And for those in the audience a little confused by the Booker round here, Mark Pocan joining us at 4:10 Central Time, not Eastern Time, Central Time today. So about 20 minutes from now. And it sounds like we're going to have the next Attorney General of the great state of Wisconsin tomorrow in the 4 o'clock hour. Josh calling in at 4:05 tomorrow.
Excellent.
Another big show.
Let's get to it. Phone lines 844-967-2789. Chris from Sun Prairie, you're up. Happy Monday, Chris. Thanks for calling. What do you got?
Hi. I watched all of the hearings, and I thought it was particularly disgusting that they had a prosecutor come in and ask the questions of Dr. Ford. And then when it was time for them to ask the questions of Kavanaugh, she asked a few, and then it went to the senators. And the senators were just very cowardly. They didn't want to go out there and ask her the questions because they didn't want those things to be seen by the people because they don't know how to talk to women. And I just thought it made her look like she was the defendant rather than, the victim. And I thought that was particularly disgusting.
Yeah, I agree, Chris. I mean, if you're going to go down that road as senators, and I think it was perhaps on one of the late night shows, if you can't ask the questions as a senator, maybe you shouldn't be a senator. And I think a lot of those people who have those senators as representatives should be working really hard to decide if they want to maintain those senators.
Chris, did you think there was anything conspicuous? They ended Mitchell's questioning immediately after she brought attention to the entry on the Kavanaugh diary / calendar, July 1st, a party that sounded exactly like the party that was being described by Dr. Blasey Ford. She asked, have you been to any parties like the one being described by Blasey Ford, like this one on July 1st? Oh, no, nothing like that. I mean, I think even the attendees were the same attendees as he had on his stupid calendar, Chris. And that's when immediately thereafter, Republican senators jumped back in. She got the hook mid-hearing? Because she got a little too close to where the trouble may lie for Kavanaugh?
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. And until today, I saw an article that was talking about her report. And there's a lawyer that she was mentored to who is now saying that she filed a report that doesn't even follow the instructions that she had given to him when she was mentoring him. They don't even follow the instructions that she uses in prosecution, that she's jumping to conclusions when there really was not even an investigation, and that a lot of the things that she's saying in this memo are not up to the standard that she usually applies to criminal prosecution. So I kind of question, her being the prosecutor or her being the person asking the question. It seems to me like she might be a partisan too. This seems like a very partisan.
Well, and she went out drinking with Grassley's team after the hearing. It's being reported over the weekend. Went out and threw down a couple beers because I hear they like beer.
Republicans love beers.
Yeah, the whole thing was a circus. It really was. I hope the FBI turns something up, and I really hope the women that are down in D.C. right now are hounding all those senators, because we should confront them anywhere we can. Have you heard where Ron Johnson's at? Because I'd love to go meet him somewhere and talk to him.
Well, apparently he flew home on Friday because he was at Mitchell Airport getting questioned about the Kavanaugh hearing and said effectively, Blasey Ford's creating false memories.
Oh, that's terrible. We have to get rid of him. He's a terrible senator.
Well, he's not due until 22, so Ron Johnson will be the senior senator despite or regardless of the outcome of the 2018 elections. Let's keep going down the phones. Let's get at least one more in. How about Wisco Paul? How you doing, Paul?
Welcome back, Dom.
Hey,
and
thank you,
for
sir.
taking my call. Hey, I'll make this quick. Kavanaugh is a perfect Republican. He lies. He's angry. He cries. Can you say snowflake? It's no wonder the GOP likes this guy. He fits right in. Hey, and one last thing. See, it's raining and the roads really suck today. Thanks, Scott Hole. Hey, you guys have a nice day. And Chris, you're awesome. Call in more. See you guys.
Thank you, Paul.
I was out driving this weekend. Father-in-law back in the hospital. I drove out to Richland Center Friday night to see him. And then I was on the road Saturday night, birthday party in Lodi area. I was driving on the road Friday night, though. I thought we blew out a tire. And I realized that was just the uneven nature of the roads.
I hear they're 49th out of 50 in this nation.
They're packed with Scott holes. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. Hour 2 coming next. You on the phones as well. 844-967-2789. We'll start with your calls, and then we'll take Mark Pocan about 4:10 Central Time. This time I feel relatively confident I got the time right.
It's nothing as it seems. The little that you see, it's home.
I just want to give you some background on some of your guests here.
If I were to guess, I have one name in mind.
Devil's Triangle.
They're winners. Winners get to do what they want.
Ever worry that the anonymous millionaires are setting the agenda for our community with little or no accountability? I do. That's why I joined Citizen Action Organizing Co-op. My fellow members and I want to build a powerful and lasting progressive movement. Together, we can help determine the agenda in our own communities. Then we work with professional organizers and a team of leading strategists to make that agenda happen. We're working on health care, economic justice, child poverty, electing progressive candidates, and more. And our Radioactive campaign supports this station and the Resistance Radio Network. So, won't you come help us build a movement?
Become a member of the Citizen Action Organizing Co-op. Go to citizenactionwy.org.
You are listening to Real Resistance Radio, WRRD 1510 AM Waukesha and WTTN 1580 AM Columbus. Always streaming at realresistanceradio.com.
Senate debate, new trade deal. I'm Mike Moss. The full Senate has begun consideration about whether to confirm Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh, despite an ongoing FBI investigation into sexual assault charges against the nominee. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says a vote will be held this week.
If you listen carefully, Mr. President, you can practically hear the sounds of the Democrats
moving the goalpost. Let me make a small prediction. Soon enough, the goalpost will be on the move once again.
Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer.
Character matters deeply. Anyone who watched the Judiciary Committee hearing on Thursday should have serious, if not disqualifying, doubts about Judge Kavanaugh's credibility and independence, qualities we should expect in any Supreme Court justice.
The White House said today there are no limits on who the FBI can question as part of its Kavanaugh investigation. The president is heralding a new trade deal between the U.S., Mexico, and Canada.
It's a privilege for them to do business with us. And I'm not talking about Mexico. I'm talking about everybody. Everybody. It's a privilege for China to do business with us. It's a privilege for the European Union, who has treated us very badly, but that's coming along.
Las Vegas Sheriff Joe Lombardo was among those marking today's one-year anniversary of a mass shooting that killed 58.
There are two choices, to give up or lift others up. We chose the latter. This morning should also be a reminder of ourselves to strengthen our commitment to never let this happen again and always stay vigilant.
The Milwaukee Brewers have won the National League Central Division with a 3-1 win today in a tiebreaker game against the St. Louis Cardinals. On Wall Street, the Dow closed up 192 points. I'm Mike Moore.
Well, look who's here. Hey, James.
Hey, Francine. How you doing?
I'm good. What are you doing walking the neighborhood with that clipboard? Are you running for something?
Nope. I'm out knocking on doors for Tammy Baldwin.
Oh, I like her, but I really don't know that much about her.
Well, she wrote the Partners Act to provide job training in high-skilled, good-paying jobs and connect workers to new employers. And folks should know she sponsored a bill to ban the box. So after someone's been incarcerated, they don't have to put it on a job application from the start.
That's important. But aren't you knocking on doors a little early?
Actually, early voting starts in Milwaukee on September 24th. Just head down to the Zeidler Building, the Mitchell Library, or the Midtown Center anytime Monday to Friday, 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And be sure to bring a photo ID.
I'll be there to vote for Tammy. And thanks for doing this, James. I hope you get everybody out to vote.
I'm Tammy Baldwin, candidate for Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Tammy Baldwin for Senate.
New data shows a small change in kickoffs in football will reduce concussions. Correspondent John Stolness has more.
Last year, the Ivy League decided to change how they did kickoffs, moving the kickoff and touchback lines up by 5 yards, resulting in fewer runbacks by return men. Since that change, the concussion rate has fallen from almost 11 per 1,000 plays during kickoffs to 2 per 1,000. Some experts consider kickoffs the most dangerous play in football, with kickoffs accounting for just 6% of all plays but 21% of all concussions. The study was published in the most recent Journal of the American Medical Association. I'm John Stolness.
A Georgia high school football player who came out of a game with an injury and then lost consciousness on the sideline has died. Dylan Thomas, a 16-year-old junior at Pike County High, came out of a game with what they thought was a leg injury. Later, he complained that he couldn't feel anything in his body. I'm Mike Moss.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
I'm jumping in with my clothes on.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The Earl Ingram Show. Join me at a new time, weekday mornings, for the Earl Ingram Show, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. on Real Resistance Radio, Monday through Friday. And as always, Saturdays noon to 3. The Earl Ingram Show, streaming live at realresistanceradio.com. Don't miss it. Voice of the voiceless, champion of the working class, the Earl Ingram Show.
For Real Resistance Radio, my name is Keith Gostad. Here are your headlines for October 1st. The Brewers beat the Tigers yesterday 11-0. They will play the Cubs today at Wrigley Field for the division title. Senator Ron Johnson is dismissing the testimony of Christine Blasey Ford about her alleged assault by Brett Kavanaugh, according to an article by Daniel Bice in the Journal Sentinel. If Milwaukee County Executive Chris Abeley's proposed budget is adopted, you can expect to pay more for the zoo, some transit fares, and to play a round of golf and swim laps at the Milwaukee County Pool. Good news and bad news for the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. The good news is that the university has balanced a budget for the first time since 2012. The bad news is that UWM has lost about 15% of their faculty since the fall of 2014. Scott Walker says if he wins in November, his third term will be his last. And the Packers beat the Bills yesterday 22-0. It was their first shutout since 2010. For Real Resistance Radio, I'm Keith Gostad.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
We're two of the Devil's Advocates radio show. Got a fine guest joining us very soon. Mark Pocan, my congressman. But until then, we'll take your calls on the phones at 844-967-2789. Let's get to Peter from Florida. It's been a while, Peter. Welcome back.
Hey, good to hear you guys still going.
Yeah, thanks, man.
I miss Jeff Santos, man. If you could get him on tonight, that would be great. But I wanted to ask you on, you made a great point about when the prosecutor was asking questions, and then they pulled her real quick when she started dialing in the names on that party for July 1st. Not many people know that one, but so good catch by you guys.
Well, don't you think it was conspicuous, Peter? It was so very obvious.
Well, you know, that was obvious. The other obvious one was what Dick Durbin asked Kavanaugh to call for an FBI investigation, and he froze like a deer in the headlights. I mean, he really froze bad. So I don't think he'd take a polygraph either. But more importantly, on this new trade agreement that came today, can you ask Mark Pocan this simple question? How does that help anybody, whether it's with Mexico or Canada? I understand Canada dropped their milk tariffs, which is really good. But Canada, the reason why the auto manufacturers went to Canada is because of health care costs. They don't have them. Their country's got Medicare for all Canadians. We can't have that. So you're dealing with at least a $7,000 spread from the start. And then with Mexico, the same thing. Those auto workers, those workers on the maquiladoras, they only make about $1.60 an hour. That spread's not going to change, and they got health care costs. So what did the Orange Nero accomplish?
You know, that's an excellent question, Peter, and we appreciate you listening and asking it. We've got my Congressman Mark Pocan coming up next. I know he had a statement to make on this newest NAFTA, except they won't call it NAFTA.
No, I can't call it NAFTA.
NAFTA's bad.
Yes.
Trump will rebrand it into something, Trumpta. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates, the finest of guests, our friend, my Congressman Mark Pocan. And, of course, you're always welcome on the phones, but not during the interviews at 844-967-2789.
I'll see better days.
Boy, how can these guys lay off pitches that close?
Devil's Triangle.
In-person absentee voting is now available in the state of Wisconsin. I want to encourage you. Go vote early. September 24th, voting begins in Milwaukee. Check with your city clerk to find out more. Vote now because you never know what might come up on Election Day. Secure your vote early. The more people who vote early, the easier it will be on Election Day for voters who can't. So go vote, Wisconsin. The polls are open now. This message brought to you by our friends at Wisconsin Voices.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
On marijuana, unfortunately, as a public health issue and a public safety issue, I've opposed that.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta, how can medical marijuana help those addicted to opioids?
There's three big things. There's clear consensus now that cannabis can treat pain. That is not an opinion. That is a consensus conclusion by big scientific bodies like the National Academy of Science. We also know that it can help treat the withdrawal symptoms of opioids. People, they don't want to be on anymore. They want to quit, but they develop the terrible withdrawal symptoms. And now we have evidence that it can actually help heal the part of the brain that is diseased in someone who's an opioid addict. If you had to start from scratch and design a substance to help lead us out of the opioid epidemic, like in a lab, it would probably look very much like cannabis.
Call Governor Scott Walker at 608-266-1212. Tell him good people do smoke marijuana. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
When they go low, we get high. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. If you missed any of this fine program, please go to the website realresistanceradio.com. You can download and listen to interviews and podcasts.
Dominic, I want to welcome back my congressman, a friend of ours. He's Mark Pocan. Mark, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show.
Hey, thanks, guys. Glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks, Mark.
Hey, Mark, before I forget to ask, I see there's a new Trump-like NAFTA plan, and apparently it was signed on by all three North American countries overnight. I'm not clear on the details, Mark. I saw you issued a statement. Didn't seem like you were clear on the details yet either, Congressman. But share for the audience what your thoughts are, at least at this very early stage, on this new NAFTA 2.0.
Yeah, so Friday morning I actually went into a classified setting to learn more about the agreement with Mexico because we had nothing on Canada yet. They told us language could still change, so this is really evolving. But the one thing that came true that I can tell for sure is that where they have some steps forward, what they don't have moving forward is the enforcement mechanism. So it's great to say they're going to do this or they're going to do that if you don't actually have any enforcement to make sure that this or that actually happens, right? So I think what we're seeing is there are some marginally better labor protections, especially when in regards to Mexico. There are some other marginally better protections in other labor standards, but it looks like the enforcement of them is still very, very weak. In fact, as they read us language, it would say something like, thou shalt do this unless people deem it otherwise. Like they'll add other words like that, which then just took away the whole meaning of whatever was going to happen. So I have to see the real language now that they finally have Canada in as well. But from what I can tell, the big Achilles heel of this is that wherever even there is some marginally better language, the enforcement of it has not been improved and likely has no teeth.
Mark, I thought I had heard there was some relief for the Wisconsin dairy industry contained in this newest NAFTA bill, almost purposefully. Trump very fond of the state of Wisconsin and, of course, helped him win the presidency. Mark, are you clear on any of how this will affect dairy farm prices and milk prices in Wisconsin, sir?
We're still getting that because, again, that wasn't there Friday, because Canada just got announced late last night. So I've yet to really talk to some folks. We're getting some conflicting information from some of the agriculture groups that work with us. I think it does open some new markets, highly refined milk powder, and a few other areas. I just don't know what that means for some of the bigger dairy industry aspects that really affect Wisconsin. So I don't have full clarity on that yet, other than he certainly is acting like he just, gave a slam dunk to the udders across the state. I'm not quite sure if that's true.
Mark, ICE was in Wisconsin, and they were detaining people in the state of Wisconsin, somewhere north of 90 undocumented aliens in the state of Wisconsin, grabbed up by ICE. My understanding, Mark, last Thursday when we hoped to have you on the show, you were meeting with ICE in D.C. Mark, can you update the audience? Anything come from that meeting, sir? Any explanations, at least?
Yeah, I'll tell you, most of it was they get back to us with more information, which we're largely waiting for. They couldn't even answer whether or not there was an office in Madison, which I found pretty amazing that they couldn't give me an answer on that. They did get back to me the next day. However, I think the answer they gave me may not have been 100% accurate. So we're still working on even basic parts like that. But what we did learn is they have a list of 250 people in the state that they've targeted, that the raids are not raids. They are called targeted arrests. But to everyone else, they're called raids. But there's 250 people on the list. They did also tell us pretty explicitly that this is the direction of this administration, which is different than how it was under President Bush or President Obama. So they're very clear that the way they're operating is in the direction of the Trump administration, which I thought was significant because that's what we've been saying all along. The misuse of the agency has come from the very top. And then, we're still not getting answers on, what people were exactly detained for. They won't yet get us, the name. We don't even need the name at this point. We've asked for the names. They're telling us there's some forms that we need to get filled out. But, of course, they don't tell us if they actually give the forms to the people that are arrested. A lot was clear as mud. But what we're trying to find out is we understand many of the people were not necessarily there for crimes, and that's what we're trying to figure out because we want to know how loose this net is that they put out there.
Mark, you've called for the abolition of ICE. I wonder, the treatment, the meeting with the ICE officials in D.C., do you feel like, Congressman, you were treated less than civilly or politely by the ICE officials? Were they less than transparent, perhaps, due to your advocacy for the elimination of their agency, sir?
No, they pretty much told us they're less than transparent to everyone. They actually did say that. So equal opportunity secrecy. In fact, they went out of their way to say, because I serve on the Appropriations Committee and oversee their budget, they did mention that. So they are cognizant of that fact. So actually, I think I probably got better treatment than maybe some others. They were very polite. I mean, there's no question on that. I'm not saying they weren't. It's just they didn't give me a lot of answers to what, I found out last week what was happening via the press release the same time you guys got it. And since, I've been raising this issue with them, you'd think they would have had a little more common sense as to reach out to the office and talk to us a little more. But I think they're used to operating in a very secretive environment. So we're still working on it. We're not giving up. I am troubled that, they told us they contacted the police here. And what I found out from talking to the mayor Friday night at the Centro Hispano dinner was that they have a special phone that the assistant chief carries with him 24/7 that they're supposed to call. Instead, they called into dispatch, which, they kind of purposely subverted it. And I also found out from talking to the sheriff the week earlier, he got a call asking about who runs dispatch. And when he said, is there something going on, they just called back and said, thank you. They left a message saying thank you. So clearly they had this plan to try to subvert the normal reporting schedule. And again, I think I have huge problems with how they've operated in that sense.
Folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Real Resistance Radio. Congressman Mark Pocan joins us on the phone. Congressman, a few days ago, you tweeted out a New York Times article talking about the war in Yemen. Wanted to get your take, sir. I know you're concerned about having a bipartisan resolution. What is our national interest in Yemen, and what do you hope to accomplish regarding that, sir?
Yeah, so, there has been, this is our second try, but this time I think we've got some real power behind what we're doing in that we're trying to raise the Rare Powers Act. What we're trying to say is Congress should have a say if we're involved in an area. And what we've been finding out month after month, we get more information that we are more involved than anyone said. There's a Saudi-led coalition that's been in war with Yemen, attacking. If they take out the major port, 70% of the food and medicine in the country won't be able to get in. You'd have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people instantly brought into famine. So, it's a very poor country. It's probably the second biggest humanitarian crisis, only to Syria, and yet most members of Congress pointed out on a map. And the fact that we're involved not just in refueling Saudi jets, but also in ice on the ground, and we've had some actual people involved, and then our weapons most recently came from the U.S. that they used, and they accidentally killed a bunch of civilians, says that this is an escalating environment there, and Congress has to be consulted, and they're not doing that. So we have a bipartisan resolution, and this time we've gained, the ranking Dem on the Armed Services Committee, and the ranking Dem on the Foreign Services Committee, and the ranking Dem on Appropriations, and our whip, Steny Hoyer. So what we're doing is we're building more and more support and leadership. It is bipartisan, and we're trying to make sure that Congress has a say if we're going to have a slippery slope. It's going to involve the U.S. More deeply in a huge humanitarian crisis like Yemen.
Mark, I got to ask you news of the day. Not the Brewers, they did beat the Cubs today, but of course Kavanaugh's testimony last week. I got to tell you, Mark, I was stunned by his behavior. I would think as a beer drinking, pot smoking radio guy, I would have more constitution and more respect for the Senate than he showed as in a job interview trying to get a lifetime appointment to the Supreme Court. Want to get your take, sir? Are you satisfied with what's going on with the FBI now, and how should people interpret that particular testimony, and how should, if he gets on the court, what does that mean for the Supreme Court and our respect or lack thereof for it?
Well, Thursday, when I was out in D.C., everyone was riveted by the testimony. I watched Dr. Ford's very, very credible testimony. I watched some of the questions she received. And then, in the afternoon, we had, the frat guy come out and, suddenly tell you, he loves beer, but he's very angry that he's being accused, and he was all crying, and he's got a pretty calendar. And, it was a rambling craziness that did not show the temperament of someone who should be a judge, much less a Supreme Court justice. And, I think people were really shocked by how he came across, so much more Trump-like than his previous interviews. But also, it was pretty clear he was lying about quite a few things. A lot of drinking games that he suddenly made up that were not necessarily drinking games on different terms. And you add that to the lies during the previous testimony, at least 4 or 5 glaring ones that stand out. And I think a lot of people are questioning whether or not he really had the temperament to be in the Supreme Court. And I think it was really insulting to a lot of, women who aren't maybe Democratic or Republican aligned to watch the circus that kind of unfolded in the behavior of many of the senators. So I think this is going to backfire, whether or not this week, if they really do expand the FBI scope a little more. But I think if they force a vote on Friday, I think it's going to have a real negative effect. They may win on this particular Supreme Court justice pick, but they will lose big time in the long run on so many other levels.
Folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Got a fine congressman. He's ours. At least he's mine. Mark Pocan, live via phone. Mark, your colleague, former Speaker of the House, Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, said, in effect, if Kavanaugh is found to have lied in his Senate testimony, a lie is a lie. And not only would he not, be suitable for impanelment on the U.S. Supreme Court, but should be subject to impeachment from his current role on the Court of Appeals out of D.C. Mark, what's your opinion on that? What happens if we find out Kavanaugh lied about drinking or the Devil's Triangle or boofing or some other term that he knowingly lied about, Mark, but something short of proof conclusive that he's a sexual assaulter? What's your thought about perjury?
Well, I certainly could see some hearings coming out to try to get to the bottom line because, with them rushing this process and not really caring about the truth along the way, a lot of people do care. And, we don't want to tell people who've been assaulted that, it's just going to be brushed under the rug and no one's ever going to look at it. So I think it's important that we still do the job that should have happened, and should the Democrats win the House, I think that certainly would be likely to happen. Now, understanding it's very difficult, I still think, to do any kind of an impeachment process, even for a judge. I still think it's something that's worthwhile to do. My guess, though, is it may never even get that far. I mean, I think if some of these Republicans, and I don't think it's just Flake and Murkowski and Collins, but it should even be a little broader, who has some concerns on this. Potentially, this could still be opened up. So I'm not saying we're at that stage yet.
Mark, while most of America was riveted to the testimony last Thursday, my understanding in the House side, another $3.8 trillion, did I get that right, Mark? $1 trillion tax cut for the very wealthiest. What happened on the House side last Thursday, sir?
Something that'll probably never become reality is my guess, unless we get to lame duck and they get desperate because they've lost the House and maybe the Senate, and they're trying to get things done. But this is the tax bill 2.0 buried on page 13 because everyone knows it was done to try to do something right before the election. And I don't even know if they got the math right this time because they had plenty of problems the first time when they actually had attention. So, it was basically the House attempting to do something before everyone goes to, back home for elections. They're trying to give their members something. But since the tax bill is already seen as something that only benefits the rich, I don't think they made a lot of gains on this. And I think, it was really Paul Ryan doing one last, effort for his corporate masters before he takes a job with some of them. But I don't think it really ultimately had a big effect.
Congressman, they're not even running on the first tax cut that they ran on. Why would they do another one?
Because they can't help themselves. They can't pass anything else. Haven't you been watching?
No, I've been on vacation, man.
I mean, their own members for the last year and a half have been incapable of doing anything else. And this is the only thing that they could kind of put on the floor and pass and think they're doing something. So, I think it was their attempt at the election, again, showing the disconnect they have with the American public that, this is not enough to suddenly change the public's opinion of them not doing anything and not standing up to this president.
Mark, I also understand a continuing resolution passed to keep the government open. I don't know that there was a lot of, exposure to the fact that we were teetering on the brink of a government shutdown recently. But my understanding is this continues to fund the military. But, Mark, no additional dollars in there for a border wall. Well, that can't make President Trump very happy, sir.
Well, don't forget the last appropriation bill, and this is with the Republican Congress, explicitly said any funds for border protection could be used to rebuild existing fences and this and that. Explicitly, though, it said nothing can be spent on any design after March of 2017, which is when they put out the design for the border wall. So even the Republicans know this border wall is just a dumb idea, and it's a way for, Donald Trump to get, the adoration of his more racist part of his base at his rallies around the country. So, for all the talk around a wall, my guess is that we'll never have that wall ever put in place.
Congressman Mark Pocan, my congressman, our friend, thank you so much for joining us here on the show today. Mark, did you catch the end of the Brewer game?
I was actually in my car coming back from a travel, so at least my feet are on the ground now, but I've been driving all day in the rain.
Well, they won, sir. 3-1. Thank you, Mark Pocan. More Devil's Advocates on the other side.
We can do one-on-one with Mexico, one-on-one with Canada.
Devil's Triangle.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
They'll challenge your authority because that's what kids do. But this car is your territory. And in here, your word is law. So when you say you won't move until everyone's buckled up, you won't budge an inch until you hear that click. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
5 your local single-source IT solutions provider, specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 5.
You are listening to Real Resistance Radio, WRRD 1510 AM Waukesha and WTTN 1580 AM Columbus. Always streaming at realresistanceradio.com.
I'm Andy Buck, Field Representative with Painters and Allied Trades of Wisconsin. It's an issue that brings constant challenges for building contractors. How to find qualified painters, glazers, and drywall finishers. IUPAT knows what you want. A professional job performed by skilled workers who care about safety, training, and finishing strong. Workers who are reliable and ready on demand. Let IUPAT provide the people power that you need. You'll feel confident the job is finished right. Connect at IUPATDC7.com and finish strong.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on Real Resistance Radio. Tune in Saturdays for Busted Pencils, fully leaded education talk with Dr. Tim Slecker, 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the voice of the voiceless, champion of the working class. Earl Ingram's Saturday show is live from 12 to 3 p.m. From 3 to 4, it's State Rep Joe Costa Zamaripa hosting The Joe Costa Show, followed by The Dawn of the Resistance with Maggie Dawn, 4 to 6. Mandatory listening, always streaming at realresistanceradio.com.
For Real Resistance Radio, my name is Keith Gosted. Senator Ron Johnson is dismissing the testimony of Christine Blasey Ford about her alleged assault by Brett Kavanaugh, according to an article by Daniel Bice in the Journal Sentinel. Johnson says Ford may be experiencing, quote, false memories. The Republican senator made the comments in a video recorded by a local filmmaker Friday at Mitchell International Airport. Johnson said he will vote to confirm Kavanaugh, calling him a, quote, good, decent person. Monday, rain, highs around 60. Tonight, rain, lows in the mid-50s. Tuesday, mostly cloudy, highs in the low 60s. Wednesday, mostly cloudy and windy, highs in the upper 70s. For Real Resistance Radio, my name is Keith Gosted.
Early in the morning, rising to the street. Light me up that cigarette and I'll strap shoes on my feet.
The Devil's Advocates. Sausage making never looks so good.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Want to thank our most recent guest, Mark Pocan, my congressman. He's a fine guest, a frequent guest, but a fine one. I always prefer when we can both, interview the congressman, Dom. Let you get your two questions.
That worked out well.
Nicely, very nicely. And we've confirmed Josh Call, the future Attorney General state of Wisconsin. He'll be on tomorrow's big show at 4:05. So no conflicts here, Dom. Nothing but the best booking.
Usually, yeah.
Usually. Dom, I found this interesting story. I don't know if you know, but Donald Trump's going into something of a campaign rally somewhere in Tennessee this afternoon.
Of course he is, because that's what he does, rallies and golf.
But he did a rally in West Virginia over the weekend, and some of the words he used, off script, typically off script, Trump at a rally, Trump being Trump. But I think even the Trumpsters had to take a few moments for pause when Donald Trump says, I fell in love with Kim Jong-un.
Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself.
According to John Bacon, USA Today, President Donald Trump said he and North Korean President Kim Jong-un fell in love because of Kim's beautiful leathers. I didn't know he was capable of reading, Dom. He fell in love because of Kim's beautiful letters. But another top Pyongyang official warned that denuclearization of the Korean peninsula won't happen unless the U.S. backs up its warm words with actions. Trump, speaking at a rally in West Virginia on Saturday night, said both leaders took tough positions at their June summit. I was really tough, and so was he. We went back and forth, Trump told an adoring crowd of thousands at the West Banco Arena in Wheeling. And then we fell in love. Okay, no, really, he wrote me beautiful letters, and they're great letters. We fell in love. That seems quite odd to me. I mean, just as term analogy, Dom, you know. I love you, man.
I love you too, Crudy. North Korea's foreign minister, however, suggested the bloom may be off the rose. Ri Yong Ho, speaking at the UN General Assembly in New York on Saturday, said his country won't dismantle its nuclear weapons program, seeing trust-building measures from the U.S. Without any trust in the U.S., there will be no confidence in our national security, and under such circumstances, there's no way we will unilaterally disarm ourselves first, he said. Kim has committed to denuclearization in return for security guarantees from the U.S. Ri said it is time for the U.S. to curb its crippling economic sanctions his nation has faced and to make other gestures aimed at pushing the relationship between the two nations forward. Ri met with U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo last week and invited him to make a fourth visit to Pyongyang. An August visit was canceled after Trump determined that insufficient progress was being made. The reason behind...
Were they in love in August?
No. Now they're more in love. Must have got a new letter. The reason behind the recent deadlock is because the U.S. relies on coercive methods, which are lethal to trust building, Ri said. Trump acknowledged that the U.S. has made no concessions. Here's a quote from Trump. The other day on a good network, I heard one of the anchors say, "Why has President Trump given up so much?" Trump told the crowd, "I didn't give up anything, really. I didn't give up anything. What did I give up? I gave up nothing." Donald Trump. In love. But I got to tell you, and while, you know, he certainly has a way with words.
Could you see them on the Love Boat together? Kim Jong and Trump. I go for mixing them up some drinks.
Come on, I prefer this to sending our kids to fight a useless war. So while I will certainly mock the man, every day that he doesn't deploy more troops is in some small ways a victory.
Really? That's all? We just don't start a war and we give you credit for that?
Well, I'm not giving credit, but I'm thankful for it. I mean, come on, are you kidding me? The fact that this guy hasn't started bombing. I mean, Bush killed more people, right? Or a war in Iraq, that was Bush. Trump hasn't done that yet. I'm thankful for that, man. If all it takes for him are a couple of letters from a despot like Kim Jong-un to not do that, I'm okay with that.
I'm going to bomb the shit out of him.
Right?
Do you think Dennis Rodman passed a note in homeroom? Do you love me too? Yes or no? Checkbox.
Will you go steady with me? Will you give him the ID bracelet?
You know, Trump also spoke over the weekend, Dom. Not in this rally setting. More sound from Trump. Hell, there's sound from Trump today. Isn't there sound from Trump damn near every day?
Yep.
Are we going to play some of the Trump sound?
What do you want? Anything in particular?
No, I'll let you make the call because I love you, man.
I love you, too. Let's get some callers in. Mark's been waiting a long time. Then we'll get to some Trump sound. 844-967-2789. Mark,
love the callers.
Love you, Mark. Hey, man, thanks for calling. What do you got?
Love you guys, too.
Thanks.
It's just another cavalcade of idiocy from Ron Johnson and company, and it just the lack of depth of any kind of understanding from Ron Johnson. This whole thing is just shocking. It's not shocking.
No, I was going to say, are you really shocked? I mean, a privileged white older guy dismissing the claims of a sexual assault victim.
You know, his aide was sexually assaulted, and he kind of just gave it a pass. I mean, that we don't know if he kind of encouraged her to give it a pass or not. I mean, it just shocked. I say I'm shocked, but I'm not. You know, Lindsey Graham had his little his meltdown moment is on the fainting.
Oh, you mean Lindsey Graham's job interview for Trump's cabinet? That little thing?
That didn't surprise me at all. I mean, because he's gone from somebody who was kind of against Mr. Trump to, because when John McCain was still alive, I mean, John McCain must have been took Lindsey Graham's spine with him in the grave, because it's just not there at all. I mean, that.
Well, he needs an older male figure to stand up for him.
but Mark, I mean,
he's sort of a beta male, if you know what I'm saying.
The access to the power, man, it's like cocaine. They don't like the cocaine; they just like the smell. The fact that he gets this close and could potentially be on the cabinet with Trump, I mean, isn't that what they want? Isn't that what a guy like Lindsey Graham lives for?
I don't understand what he lives for. I mean, I just that how can you sell your soul for the fleeting moment that Trump will be in power for at best at worst I should say for another 6 years, and Lindsey Graham will be forever stained for the work he's done for Donald Trump. I mean that hopefully, I mean the truth will out on this one, because that Brett Kavanaugh just gave a shocking performance as far as just crying. That there's no crying in the Supreme Court. I mean that it just
it came off as unhinged, Mark.
Well, he's that unhinged and the door is flown off, and it's beyond unhinged. I think that hinges you can usually replace. This I don't know you can.
Mark, appreciate your call. Thanks for listening. As always, be like Mark. Call 844-967-2789. This story about Ron Johnson that Mark references, Daniel Bice at the Journal-Sentinel over the weekend. U.S. Senator Ron Johnson is dismissing the Senate Judiciary Committee testimony of Christine Blasey Ford about her alleged assault years ago by Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. One reason Johnson says Ford, a clinical psychology professor in California, may be experiencing false memories. And that's a quote. In a video taken by a local filmmaker of Johnson at Mitchell International Airport on Friday afternoon, the Wisconsin Republican senator said he would be voting to confirm Kavanaugh, calling him a good and decent person and a great judge. Asked what he believes motivated Ford to testify this week, Johnson responded, "Read about false memories. Read about people who have actually confessed to crimes and then later proven totally innocent, okay?"
What?
Pressed again on whether Ford's testimony was based on false memories, the second-term senator said, "There are a number of explanations for it. That would be one of them. Again, regardless of exactly, nobody knows what happened 36 years ago. False memory is a psychological phenomena that occurs when someone recollects events that never actually happened." Johnson was not asked why he considered Ford's memories as suspect, but not Kavanaugh's. We know on Friday, the Judiciary Committee passed 11-10 along partisan lines the advancement of Kavanaugh, though a delay now with an FBI investigation. But here's something I would point out. What about his own staffer? Right? She was sexually assaulted, talking about Ron Johnson's staffer, was sexually assaulted by Bill Kramer.
Republican state lawmaker Bill Kramer.
Majority leader, Assembly Majority Leader at the time, Bill Kramer. I don't know if he became Majority Leader before or after he perpetrated against Ron Johnson's staffer. But when it came to light and this woman told the boss, and Ron Johnson, we've quizzed him on this, Ron Johnson said it was her desire not to go public. And he respected her desire not to go public, kind of like Christine Blasey Ford. Chose not to go public, didn't want to be publicly humiliated, didn't want to be publicly embarrassed.
I don't know. I mean,
didn't want to be not believed by guys like Ron Johnson.
I don't know if that's necessarily accurate. My understanding was that she didn't come forward because she basically cut a deal with Bill Kramer that he would behave himself, for the lack of a better term, and then he didn't, and then that's when she came forward officially.
Well, he was accused of separate things, and then it came to light that he had perpetrated prior. And Ron Johnson was aware of the perpetration, the sexual assault. But I would say, if Ron Johnson is to be believed, in regards to his own staffer and respect for her wishes. And really, do you think the victim of a sexual assault really wanted to make a deal? Or was there, let's say, some external pressure put on her not to raise these charges against the majority leader in the assembly on the Republican side? Hey, he's on our team. Do we really have to go forward? Are you entirely sure?
We should ask her.
That'd be great to ask her. Ron again. You know, Ron, how can you trust and respect your own staffer to not report an alleged sexual assault that you were aware of, yet when you hear the very same report in Senate testimony, don't believe the woman? Do you think your staffer was lying, Ron? Is that why you didn't let her go public? Because ultimately, one's got to think. If Ron Johnson said, let's go public with this, I'll stand by you, she'd have gone public.
There's a lot of assumptions there, Crude. I would prefer to speak to the staffer, and then we can have that conversation. 844-967-2789. Let's get a caller in here before the end of the segment. Pete from Milwaukee, you're up. Thanks for calling, Pete. What do you got?
Well, Johnson, I guess he couldn't say that she got mixed up and misidentified him like they tried earlier in this explanation that, she mixed up Brett Kavanaugh with a double.
Yeah, right.
And, and also, by the way, she also made up the fact, supposedly, that Mark Judge was in the room and he fell on top of them. I mean, geez, her memory must be pretty wild, that she actually made all that up. And I'm amazed at Senator Johnson. I really am. He just seems to believe anything the Republicans are willing to feed him. But when it comes to, a woman who's actually telling the truth, and this guy, Kavanaugh, is a stumbling drunk when he was in high school and college. There's no doubt about it. People are talking about this on the internet all over the place. This guy was just about out of control. And you don't doubt that he would do something like this. And he might not even remember it,
No, I believe it, Pete. Thank you for your call, 844-967-2789. One more thought about Ron. Ron also defended the Catholic Church. First and foremost, have you heard any male accused of, false memories 35 years after being abused by a priest?
Right, years ago.
You hear any of the victims of that being accused of false memories?
No.
Other than maybe by Denny Hassert. I haven't heard any male victims accused of false memories. And Ron Johnson went out and gave testimony on behalf of the Milwaukee Archdiocese, even though he's not Catholic. Came out and tried to help them shield their assets from a bankruptcy filing, right? Wanted to make sure that they kept theirs safe from all the victims out there. Well, you can't have it all ways, Ron. You can't defend the Catholic Church. You can't fail to acknowledge the sexual assault against your own staffer and then also fail. Well, I guess you can, because that is exactly Ron Johnson. Basically, Ron Johnson always believes the victimizer and apparently never believes the victim.
The Johnson video reported in the Daniel Bice piece in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, taken by Joel Van Haren, a 30-year-old Milwaukee filmmaker who's appeared on Vice, BBC, New York Times, Al Jazeera, among others. In his interview with Johnson made clear that he's already made up his mind. I'm going to vote for him, Johnson said. The senator was very dismissive of Ford's testimony, adding, there's no corroboration whatsoever. There's all kinds of explanations for it. She seems sincere, but she's completely used and abused by the Democrats who abuse the process. Now, this is, again, Ron Johnson, Republican, talking about abusing the process. Republicans who shut out Merrick Garland in his, process to be vetted for the United States Supreme Court because they could. And it's the Dems abusing the process, Ron? Come on. I'm actually, Ron's guy who I normally book through is now working for the Scott Walker campaign. So I have a new contact, and I will be reaching out today to try to get Ron back on the greatest radio show ever. If you don't know, that's this show, The Devil's Advocate.
What about Scott Walker? You think you'll get him now?
I let Ben know that we would appreciate an opportunity to interview Mr. Walker.
You know, the Republicans got together this weekend, had a little Party of the Faithful.
Ooh, I bet that was a ruckus affair.
1st Congressional District. Paul Ryan, Reince Priebus, Scotty Walker. The whole gang was there.
Leah? Was Leah there?
Oh, Leah was there.
Oh, my girl.
And you know, she's all down for Kavanaugh. She's on Team Rapist, Dom. Does that bother you at all that Leah Buchmer would stand with the accuser? Would stand with the accused against the victim?
Everyone has to make their own determination, Crudy. The FBI's investigating. Testimony was given. I witnessed some of it. I believe her. I don't believe him. Leah, she's a political creature. I don't think, short of her a video of the assault, Leah and most Republicans are not going to back down. They need this for them, for the election.
Leah doesn't believe in Me Too. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates, Real Resistance Radio. Phone lines open, 844-967-2789.
Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself.
Me love you long time. Me so horny.
The equipment didn't work too well. Now take your weapons of mass destruction and get the f*** out of here!
Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We've got a patented system. We also do another step that most people don't do. We have a double rotating brush machine that we use when we pre-treat the carpet. So this helps dig up any of that stuff that's deeper in your carpet that the vacuum doesn't get. We're going to provide that intermediary step before we clean with our empowered water.
Call Zero Res today, 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
I am sick and tired of big power brokers telling voters what's important instead of the other way around. So I joined the Citizen Action Organizing Co-op. It's a community of like-minded local progressives where the members help determine what issues are important. And with the aid of professional organizers and some of the top progressive strategists in Wisconsin, we make the powers that be take notice and action. We're working on fair elections, the climate crisis, immigrant rights, electing progressive candidates, and more. Plus, we have a campaign called Radioactive that supports this station and Real Resistance Radio. So, come help us reclaim our power as voters.
Become a member of the Citizen Action Organizing Co-op. Go to citizenactionwy.org.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
Were you trying to get crazy with this, eh? Don't you know I'm loco?
The Devil's Advocates, making radio great again.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Real Resistance Radio, streaming on YouTube and Facebook, on Twitter at Devil Radio, and always on the phones. Take all callers, even you Republicans. 844-967-2789.
Dominic, I consider you a part of the Democratic Party.
What?
Well, Donald Trump made a broad statement about the media today, and you're a media member. Apparently a blue media member. Go Team Dem!
Yeah, absolutely. This cycle, go Dem.
Dominic, a combative President Trump initially deflected questions about Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh during a White House press conference on trade, and also accused reporters of working for the Democratic Party. During an extended attack on Democrats for their handling of Kavanaugh, Trump accused the media of taking the party side I consider you part of the Democratic Party, Trump said. Trump shot down questions 3 times from reporters on Kavanaugh following remarks in the Rose Garden, instead demanding they first ask questions about the newly negotiated version of NAFTA.
It was terrible.
He signaled he would eventually take questions on Kavanaugh, but didn't do so until almost an hour into the press conference. What does that have to do with trade? He said when asked by ABC reporter Cecilia Vega about his tweets on Kavanaugh. I don't mind answering the question, but I'd like to do the trade questions too. We'll do Kavanaugh questions, he told another reporter shortly after. When a third reporter sought to ask him about Kavanaugh, and from CNN, one of the president's usual media targets, Trump grew irritated. Don't do that, he told CNN reporter Caitlin Collins when she tried to ask about reports from the White House had put limits on the FBI investigation into sexual assault allegations against Kavanaugh. Excuse me, do you have a question on trade?
We have some of this sound. I'm going to bump around here, Brian. 92A, Trump's exchange with ABC's Cecilia Vega. Let's play it if you would, please.
Go ahead. Sure. She's shocked that I picked her.
No.
She's like in a state of shock.
I'm not thinking, Mr.
That's
President.
okay. I know you're not thinking. You never do.
I'm sorry?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
In a tweet this weekend, Mr. President, you said that it's incorrect to say you're limiting the scope of the FBI investigation.
What does that have to do with trade? I don't mind answering the question, but, you know, I'd like to do the trade
It has to
questions,
do with the other
right?
headline in the news, which is the Kavanaugh
I know,
nomination.
but how about talking about trade, and then we'll get to that. We'll do that a little bit later.
Do you think the
Anybody have a trade?
Do you
Go
think
ahead,
your trade
please.
deal will pass through Congress, sir?
I think so, but, you know, if it doesn't, we have lots of other alternatives. But I do think so. I think if they're fair, which is a big question, but if it's fair on both sides, the Republicans love it. Industry loves it. Our country loves it. If it's fair, it will pass. I think it'll pass easily, really easily, because it's a great deal. I mean, NAFTA passed. It's one of the worst deals I've ever seen. Inconceivable that it was made. Fair question. Any other questions on
Thank
trade?
you.
I'll get back to you on the other question.
I'd like to go forward with my Kavanaugh question.
Let's do that later, but I'll call you a second time.
It's inconceivable, Crudy. And again, the media, he goes off. We got a couple minutes here. Let's do cut 90.
They're worse now than ever. They're loco, but that's okay. I put up with it. Go ahead. I use that word because of the fact that we made a deal with Mexico.
I'm sure they're very honored for you to call them loco, you freaking gringo.
The media's loco. The media is loco, according to Donald Trump, and also, of course, what? Democrats. Part of the blue wave, Crudy. Or just people that are trying to sort out the BS you shovel every single day, because every person doing a 9-to-5, taking care of their family and getting through the day, they don't have time to go back and listen and try to analyze and figure it all out. That's why we have the fourth estate here in this great country.
Yeah, but you're loco and a Democrat and short.
And what's your point?
And kind of puffy after vacation.
Yeah, that's entirely true. Everything you have just said is true. I claim it. I stand by it. I'm proud, Crudy, unlike Kavanaugh and Trump.
Come back with us. More Devil's Triangle fake news on the other side. The happy hour, it starts right now. You can always be a part at 844-967-2789.
He's an asshole, sir. Devil's Triangle.
Hi, my name is Shantae, your local Hyatt pharmacist. With more than 10 locations here in the Milwaukee area, we're here to simplify your lives one script at a time. With free delivery to your home or work, where all your medications are brought together in one convenient dosage packaged, individualized to your daily medication regimen. We set up in-house calls with the licensed pharmacist to assist in medication management. We accept all insurance plans. To learn more about Hyatt, visit us at our website, HAYATRX.com.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us CCL Management at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
You are listening to Real Resistance Radio, WRRD 1510 AM Waukesha and WTTN 1580 AM Columbus. Always streaming at realresistanceradio.com.
The Kavanaugh probe, new trade deal. I'm Ann Cates. The Trump administration has given the FBI free rein to conduct its probe into sexual misconduct allegations against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. Republican Senator Jeff Flake of Arizona says it's an important step.
And we have to realize that we may not be able to find out everything that happened. This is something that was a while ago. Some witnesses or potential witnesses may not want to cooperate. But for those that can and those who we can compel to cooperate, we've got to do a fulsome investigation.
An attorney for Kavanaugh friend Mark Judge says he has talked to the FBI, but the interview has not been completed. The U.S. has reached a pact with its neighbors.
The president called the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, which will replace NAFTA, the most important trade deal ever.
It will transform North America back into a manufacturing powerhouse.
The president said at a Rose Garden news conference, U.S. farmers and ranchers will benefit because they'll be able to sell more to Canada and Mexico, and he says it'll mean a new dawn for the U.S. auto industry and U.S. workers. But the measure needs congressional approval, and the president acknowledged he's not confident, noting the midterm elections could have a big impact. Jerry Bodlander at the White House.
Rescue efforts continue after an earthquake and tsunami devastated an Indonesian island. Correspondent Matt Rivers.
Roads are still cut off. The airport still isn't operating at a normal capacity. It's a small airport to begin with. And so when you're talking about getting the aid in here that these people need, you need roads. You need airports to be working. And that's the immediate challenge facing authorities, getting all of this access open to these areas so that people can begin to get the aid they so desperately need.
A mixed performance today on Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 193 points, the S&P up 11, the Nasdaq down 9. I'm Ann Cates.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern. Ignacio, what do you got for us today?
Hey, I quit paying attention for like maybe one day, and all hell breaks loose. That goes to show me I got to pay attention every single day to your radio program, or else who knows what'll happen.
If you don't listen to the Devil's Advocates 3 hours every day, Nacho, you're missing a lot.
You got that right. I just learned that today. I turned it on and I'm listening, and you really just rocked my world today. I was just totally blown away.
Save the $2 on tomorrow's paper. Listen to the Devil's Advocates today.
Totally blown away.
Pittsburgh is honoring the late father of modern American zombie films.
50 years ago, filmmaker George Romero introduced us to Night of the Living Dead.
A night of total terror.
Black and white, shot to look like a documentary, the 1968 classic tells the story of a group of characters hiding out in a farmhouse from zombies that are trying to do unspeakable things to them, like eat them. 50 years after the fact, Pittsburgh, which was the city credited for its cooperation in the original film, pays tribute to Romero with a week of movie screenings and other programs. I'm Jan Johnson.
It was a real-life drama, and last week's hearing on the Brett Kavanaugh nomination to the Supreme Court has the TV ratings to prove it. More than 20 million people tuned into the proceedings, rivaling the audience for a playoff football game or the Oscars. I'm Ann Cates.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Indoor baseball, anyone?
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You're not wired to have a response to this sound. But when we introduce a new stimulus, save the food, we're helping to stop food waste. Save the food. For tips and recipes, visit SaveTheFood.com. Brought to you by NRDC and the Ad Council.
5 your local single-source IT solutions provider, specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
For Real Resistance Radio, my name is Keith Gostad. Good news and bad news for the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Good news is the university has balanced its budget for the first time since 2012. The bad news is that UWM has lost about 15% of their faculty since the fall of 2014. The budget deficit was more than $40 million just 3 years ago. To get to a balanced budget, the university began freezing positions in 2014 and not replacing a majority of those people who left. Hardest hit at UWM is the School of Education, which has lost about a third of its faculty in the past 4 years. Tonight's feature at Poets Monday is former Milwaukee Poet Laureate Matt Cook. That's at Linneman's River West Inn at the corner of Locust and Wheel. For Real Resistance Radio, my name is Keith Gostad.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves' corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dom, we're sliding into the 5 o'clock NL Central Championship.
Yeah.
Happy hour. Go Brewers.
Go Brewers.
Suck lemons, you Cubs fans. Yeah. We are a divided nation. Why not be a divided audience on this topic? Hell, even Fancy Brian likes the Cubs. Too bad. So sad.
You're such a...
Sorry, not sorry.
They're going to win tomorrow.
844-967-2789. Let's get to the phones. Nick from Northern California has been waiting. Nick, welcome back.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Nick.
Great show today.
Thanks.
Hey, there's something that happened that nobody's said anything about, and it just kind of trips me out because, to me, it sounded like a definite threat, okay? When he was going off, remember when he was just getting angrier and angrier.
You're talking about Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh, yeah. You know, when he did his opening statement, and remember when he really started getting worked up there, and his face was all contorted and everything, and he misquoted the Bible, but that's, whatever. He's supposed to be some choir boy. But anyway, it was a quote about, you've sown the wind, and now you will have to reap the whirlwind. And who the hell is he threatening? Because that's a threat.
No, what does that mean exactly?
Well, I tell you what it means. He was pointing out all the Democrats in there, and that's what he was looking at. And he was saying, you're going to regret this. That's what he was saying. Now, you're telling me this is a guy that should be on the Supreme Court? A guy that's threatening more than half the nation?
If you believe him, he blames the Democrats. He says it's Clinton revenge upon him. I mean, he goes right down the list, blames them. I mean, demonstrates his partisan hackness. But if he was any sort of a justice, he would have to recuse anytime, the Democratic Party ever were litigants before the courts? I mean, he has really limited himself significantly. And, Nick, I don't know if you know this, but like the state of Wisconsin, there are no clearly defined recusal rules for Supreme Court justices. So he may think guilty every time a Democrat comes before the court. He might, push every means to an end justification for why he's going to rule against the Democrats. And once impaneled as an associate justice, There's nothing we can do about it to force him to recuse.
Hey, Nick, sit tight. We have the sound. I want to play it briefly here, Nick, and we'll let you respond. Brian, if you would, 110.
You sowed the wind.
Okay. There.
For decades to come, I fear that the whole country will reap the whirlwind.
Maybe he's saying that.
He said the whole country, but he was looking right at the Democrats. when he said that. Okay? That was a threat.
Well, Nick, he came...
I mean, I can't believe he got away with that.
Later he said, like, turnabout's fair play or something of the sort. I mean...
Tell him I'm coming! And hell's coming with me, you hear?
Anyway, I just wanted to point that out. To me, that sounded like a definite threat.
Well, Nick, here's one more quick soundbite.
Judge Kavanaugh, are you ready to begin?
Oh, hell yeah.
Let me tell you this. I'm going to start at an 11. I'm going to take it to about a 15 real quick.
That was great.
That might not have been the actual Kavanaugh sound, Nick. That might have been Matt Damon on Saturday Night Live. But it seemingly made the point quite well.
Yes. All right, guys. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. Appreciate it. While we're on, let's just do one more out there. The Durbin sound, 135. Brian, Dick, Durbin, and Kavanaugh had a pretty hot exchange. If you would, please.
If there is no truth to her charges, the FBI investigation will show that. Are you afraid that they might not?
Come on.
I welcome whatever the committee wants to do because I'm telling the truth.
I want to know what you want to do.
I'm telling the truth.
I want to know what you want to do, Judge.
I'm innocent. I'm innocent of this charge.
Then you're prepared for an FBI investigation?
They don't reach conclusions. You reach the conclusions,
No,
Senator.
but they do investigate questions.
You can't handle the truth.
You're damn right I did. Yeah, I mean, if
I think he might have
else,
ordered the code red, Dom.
Oh, you totally ordered the code red. If nothing else, it just goes to show this man does not have the temperament to be in that spot. Period.
I don't give a damn what you think you are entitled to.
Yeah.
Well, breaking at the CNN on the Chiron, Mitch McConnell says we'll definitely be voting on Kavanaugh this week.
Also being reported, I saw it on Fox News, also on CNN. Mark Judge, the Kavanaugh buddy, is being interviewed by the FBI, according to his attorney. The interview is ongoing.
I saw that Paul Manafort spent quite a day with the special counsel Mueller today as well.
Oh, we haven't even talked about any of that.
Well, you forget that Rosenstein was subject to, what, a Monday morning massacre, and then it was going to be a Thursday afternoon massacre. And this Kavanaugh, this headline's been so compelling for Trump, he hasn't gotten around to firing Rosenstein and, of course, his efforts to quash the Russian investigation. I mean, I hope Mueller time's coming around this week. Hate for it to be a second week of all Kavanaugh, Dom.
Let's do some Walker bashing.
Let's
bring it home.
Great news. The Tony Mentum is growing, Dom, right here in the state of Wisconsin. Tony got a big endorsement today. One of hundreds, I'll grant you. But former President Barack Obama gave his endorsement to Tony Evers today. As it's being reported by Patrick Marley, Bill Glauber at the Journal-Sentinel, Tony Evers snagged the endorsement of former President Barack Obama in his bid for governor Monday and called for establishing an inspector general to serve as a watchdog of state government. You see, over the weekend, Dom, I don't know that you were reading the paper. Apparently, Walker's DOT double paying on the zoo interchange. Knew they were doing it and still did it anyways. Talking about waste, fraud, and abuse.
Well, can they just scratch a check back if they were double paid? I mean, what's
like
the
a
story?
clawback?
Yeah.
No, the very same companies that were double paid apparently are also the same companies that are heading up the roadway constructions for Foxconn.
Oh, good. We'll just deduct that off of the next invoice, right? We call it a change order, let's call it.
Our Cubs loving producer, Fancy Brian's got something to add to this conversation.
Yeah, they actually have emails back and forth of people discussing this. The company said it would charge them $52,000 to remove the line item, even though there was nothing done.
Well, okay, so if that is the option, if it's a $450 double payment and you got to eat $50,000, let's say, That's the consequence. Somehow can be justified contractually. If you change it,
right,
you lose 50 grand.
Right, and that goes to the administration. That goes to the leadership and business acumen of the Walker administration.
But that would still be an 8/9 savings.
Right.
I mean, if it's
Do it. Get it back. Take the
$450,000.
money back. Pay the fee. Come on. You walked away from the high-speed rail at a much greater cost than that.
Oh, the Talgo, that's $50 million and counting down.
Yeah, that's not his money. Who cares?
That was 15 miles of asphalt. If you squish the asphalt flat, 15 miles worth of asphalt. Apparently, they were double charging the state taxpayers. You and I. Yeah, but they finished the course, so that's good.
yeah.
Back to the Tony Evers. Apparently got the, the big endorsement today. Where's it at? Obama released a statement saying Evers would put ordinary citizens ahead of special interest. And here's a quote. Tony is focused on his positive vision for Wisconsin, the issues that matter most to hardworking families. Like, this one sticks a little, Dom. Like protecting people with pre-existing conditions, fixing Wisconsin's crumbling roads and infrastructures, and fully funding public schools. Obama's statement. Read. Do you think that's a mistake, Dom? Once Obama gets involved, let's not forget, thousands, like over 1,000 legislative seats we lost. We, the Democrats, lost while Obama was the president. Republicans aren't very good at much, but they're great at running against Barack Obama. And I'd have loved to see Obama come marching around the square like he threatened to do back in the recall.
Yeah, right.
But now I wonder if it's just a little more fuel for the Republican fire.
I don't know, man. The base for the Republicans are always going to be there. I think, the same reason that Walker is losing any sort of legitimacy that he had, he's certainly down in the polls, is a lot of people don't believe the crap that comes out of his mouth. And like the other Republicans, and Trump is their leader, they just say what they got to say to get elected to cling on to power. And I think over the course of time, Republicans are getting that image from the independents and certainly the Dems that think that this is just a game. They will say whatever they need to do to get elected. The Republican core is never going to vote for a Dem. I don't think there's a downside for Obama at this point to jump in and start endorsing folks.
Obama on Monday also endorsed U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin. Randy Bryce, who's coming in studio right here on Brady Street on Wednesday, Dom. Democratic running for Speaker in Paul Ryan's congressional seat. That's Randy Bryce. And a string of Democrats running for state offices in Wisconsin and around the country. Walker greeted Evers' proposal. Now, I didn't talk about the proposal, but here's what Walker had to say about Evers. He talks about the people's agenda. The only thing the people are going to get from Tony Evers is higher taxes, Walker said. Now, ironically, Dom, this, Kimberly Clark, this proposition, Scott Walker wants to match the Foxconn deal for Kimberly Clark. Do you know how much Kimberly Clark has paid in state taxes over the last 4 calendar years, last 4 reporting periods, Dom?
How much, Curdy?
$1.
25 cents a year or $1 every
$1
year?
1 year and nothing in the other 3 calendar years. So in 4 calendar years, the state of Wisconsin has collected 0 tax dollars from the Kimberly Clark Corporation, yet we're going to incentivize them, to keep one of their plants open. 17 cents on every dollar spent on their employees, matching the Foxconn deal. That's like 2.5 times the normal incentive, the historical incentive for any sort of economic development on the state level. I mean, any other corporate welfare you want to give away, Scott Walker?
Oh, he wants to give it away. Crudy finishing up, or at least mentioning this from the Patrick Marley piece in the Journal Sentinel. Walker, meanwhile, visited Carol Kimple, a Milwaukee woman who has lived in her home since 1953, to tout his plan to increase the homestead tax credit that is available to senior citizens for property taxes. During his 2 terms as governor, Walker has stressed property tax relief, but has also put limits on specific credit he now wants to expand. If I'm elected, in our next state budget, we will put a 50% increase in the homestead tax credit, Walker said. That's part of our plan to help Wisconsin seniors stay in their homes. This plan, Crudy, would cost almost $62 million the first year and almost $73 million the second year. Again, Governor Walker, what is he doing? He's giving away money. Give away a little money for you, a little money for you.
Then why didn't he do that with the breeder bonus? $122 million he gave out to state taxpayers in $100 increments for those that applied. Why didn't he just fund it this year instead of putting that arbitrary middle of the summer? Oh, yeah, he was buying votes. I forget.
That's right.
Fix stuff the next time. Reelect me, and then I'll fix stuff for surezies. Come back with us. More Devils, more of you on the phones. 844-967-2789.
What's been going on while I've been gone?
Having a great time.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
Wasn't true. It was a Scott Walker, a Scott P. Walker. I'm Scott Kevin Walker.
I'm Andy Buck, Field Representative with Painters and Allied Trades of Wisconsin. It's an issue that brings constant challenges for building contractors. How to find qualified painters, glazers, and drywall finishers. IUPAT knows what you want. A professional job performed by skilled workers who care about safety, training, and finishing strong. Workers who are reliable and ready on demand. Let IUPAT provide the people power that you need. You'll feel confident the job is finished right. Connect at IUPATDC7.com and finish strong.
On marijuana, unfortunately, as a public health issue and a public safety issue, I've opposed that.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta, how can medical marijuana help those addicted to opioids?
There's three big things. There's clear consensus now that cannabis can treat pain. That is not an opinion. That is a consensus conclusion by big scientific bodies like the National Academy of Science. We also know that it can help treat the withdrawal symptoms of opioids. People, they don't want to be on them anymore. They want to quit, but they develop the terrible withdrawal symptoms. And now we have evidence that it can actually help heal the part of the brain that is diseased in someone who's an opioid addict. If you had to start from scratch and design a substance to help lead us out of the opioid epidemic, like in a lab, it would probably look very much like cannabis.
Call Governor Scott Walker at 608-266-1212. Tell him good people do smoke marijuana. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Tune in to Real Resistance Radio. Start your weekday off with the Earl Ingram Show from 6 to 8 a.m. Next, it's The Forum with Sherwin Hughes from 8 to 11. Then from 11 to 2, it's the Tom Hartman Program. At 2 o'clock, it's the Brian Kelly Show. Then from 3 to 6, it's the Devil's Advocates. Mandatory listening. Always streaming at realresistanceradio.com.
Charged, never convicted. Dom and Croat are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, Real Resistance Radio, streaming on YouTube and Facebook, on Twitter at Devil Radio. And the phone lines open for you. We'll take some callers at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, a little sad news out of the state of Wisconsin. I'd like to report it, and then we'll take some callers. If Governor Scott Walker wins re-election, it'll be his last term.
I don't believe a word this man says.
I want to get the job done. Finish the job.
What, the 250,000 job promise? It's going to take him 3 terms?
I'm not exactly clear what job he intends to get done, but, he wants to serve the full 4 years and then pass the baton on to a new generation of leaders.
Oh.
The comments by Walker were the most explicit yet in describing his longer-term political plans. Democrats have sought to portray Walker as trying to overstay his welcome with voters and have accused him of putting his own employment ahead of the taxpayers of Wisconsin. Down in the poll, Walker, here's the other sad part, Dom. Walker has claimed the role of underdog in his race against Evers.
It's all the outside money he's worried about.
I kind of relish it. I like to rumble, he said.
Oh, rumble? Governor Walker, please, come on this fine show. We'd love to talk policy and politics with you in studio or calling us at 844-967-2789. You can ask Ben. We're very respectful to our guests when they come in studio.
Do you think when he was at Darien Delavan, do you think he was a shark or a jet?
He likes to rumble. When you're a jet all the way from your first cigarette to your last dying day.
844-967-2789. Let's get to it. Joe from Cedarburg, welcome, sir. What's your thought?
Hi, well, I really called to talk about Foxconn, but since we're talking about the manufacturer's tax credit, the fellow who writes Data Wonk for Urban Milwaukee.
Bruce Thompson, smart guy. Yes, sir.
Yeah. He found out that the Wisconsin's manufacturing employment moves with the same as the other 6 states. So he did a study, and there's been no impact on our manufacturing employment. I mean, it just tracks the other states who don't do this. So, but I'm calling about Foxconn. You were talking about sneaky things, and I heard Joe, Sanfilippo talk, and I just want to make a few points. You can stop me when you want, but he was talking about the impact, and what they forgot to mention is the opportunity cost of taking this money that is being spent and spend it elsewhere in the state on other projects. So all he's doing is looking at the positive. And I'll just give you an example. The other thing is they were kind of shady on the numbers. I read the Legislative Fiscal Bureau report, and the WEDC hired Baker Tilly, Baker consulting firm.
Yep.
Baker Tilly says 40% of the jobs are going to be held by non-residents. Well, right in the report it says Walker changed that number, and the Ernst & Young, who's Foxconn's consultant, said to 100%. So all these numbers are based on 100% of the people going home and spending their money in Wisconsin, which obviously isn't going to happen.
Well, that's because in part, Joe, Foxconn would pay no state taxes, even if successful. Of course, they're being willed property taxes, right? They're not going to pay any property taxes on that Goliath of a facility if it's ever built to capacity. And above and beyond that, with the manufacturer and agribusiness tax credit, no matter how profitable they are, Joe, they're not going to pay any taxes to the state of Wisconsin because manufacturers pay a 0.4%. So if we're paying,
employees aren't going to. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, if we're paying $200,000 per job, 17 cents on every dollar towards the employment, the only upside we get as taxpayers is the taxation on the employment, which at maximum is like 7.5%. That math doesn't add up forever. From here to infinity, you can't give a 17% incentive, and the only payback we're getting as taxpayers is the tax on the wage, on the worker's wage, the 7.5% maximum wage. So we give 17, we get 7.5% back at maximum. How's that math ever going to add up, sir?
Well, it's not, but I would just say also the employees living in another state takes their when they buy groceries and home and all that takes us to another state. I'll get on to something else. You know how the wages, I read the contract too, and I just want to explain this something. When you get to a contract, you fellows know you have defined terms which begin with a capital letter. Wages are defined as per the IRS code, section such and such. And it says in there that wages means salaries plus benefits. So the $53,000 number is actually salaries plus benefits when you get to the calculation.
Joe, you weren't supposed to flip the napkin over and read the back.
Well done, Joe.
I appreciate a guy doing his homework. Joe's a smart guy. You're all smart people for listening to the greatest radio show ever, Devil's Advocates, right here on Real Resistance Radio. Get back with a little more Walker bashing and a few more of your phone calls after this short break. 844-967-2789.
Are you with me? No, I'm not going to join a cult.
Your local single-source IT solutions provider, specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy59s.com.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
This is high blood pressure. Get back on your plan. Go to loweryourhbp.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
Once again, the American public has some reading to do. In a 29-page indictment today, Americans need to take a look at page 6, paragraph 20, and here come those important 8 words: to interfere with the 2016 U.S. presidential election. That is it.
Jim, I'm going to make a confession on behalf of the panel. Dom's not going to read the indictments.
Come on, maybe.
The Devil's Advocates, political commentary from the back of the class.
Here's how you get them. If someone invites you for a cocktail, you bring them beer. If someone invites you to dinner, you bring a casserole. That's how you make friends. That's the Wisconsin way.
Well, look who's here. Hey, James.
Hey, Francine. How you doing?
I'm good. What are you doing walking the neighborhood with that clipboard? Are you running for something?
Nope. I'm out knocking on doors for Tammy Baldwin.
Oh, I like her, but I really don't know that much about her.
Well, she wrote the Partners Act to provide job training in high-skilled, good-paying jobs and connect workers to new employers. And folks should know she sponsored a bill to ban the box. So after someone's been incarcerated, they don't have to put it on a job application from the start.
That's important. But aren't you knocking on doors a little early?
Actually, early voting starts in Milwaukee on September 24th. Just head down to the Zeidler Building, the Mitchell Library, or the Midtown Center anytime Monday to Friday, 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And be sure to bring a photo ID.
I'll be there to vote for Tammy. And thanks for doing this, James. I hope you get everybody out to vote.
I'm Tammy Baldwin, candidate for Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Tammy Baldwin for Senate.
Getting a raise at work shouldn't mean paying more for healthcare and taking home less. Badger Care is arguably the best and most cost-effective health plan out there, but it's not an option for most of us. Lillian Cheeseman is fighting for us to change this. Lillian is committed to making Badger Care accessible and affordable to anyone in Wisconsin without income qualifiers at an affordable price. Let's cut the red tape on Badger Care and work for a healthier Wisconsin. Be a real Wisconsinite and vote for Cheese for Assembly 15th on November 6th. Paid for by Friends of Cheeseman.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009. Or visit cclmanagement.com today.
For Real Resistance Radio, my name is Keith Gosted. If Milwaukee County Executive Chris Abley's proposed budget is adopted, you can expect to pay more to get into the zoo, to play a round of golf, to swim laps at Milwaukee County Pool, and possibly riding the bus. Abley says fee increases and service reductions are necessary until the county can persuade the state to increase revenue sharing for the county. Proposals in the budget include a $1 increase in the daily cost of a Go Pass for seniors and the disabled to ride public transit. And there would be $1 increase in the daily cost of a new Freedom Bus Pass for residents who are para-transit eligible. Monday, rain, highs around 60. Tonight, rain, lows around the mid-50s. Tuesday, mostly cloudy, highs in the low 60s. Wednesday, mostly cloudy and windy, highs in the upper 70s. For Real Resistance Radio, I'm Keith Gosted.
Too, if it wasn't for those meddling Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. The happy hour continues with your phone calls at 844-967-2789. I think next up is Ian from Milwaukee. Ian, as soon as I find the button.
It is me.
Welcome, sir.
Hey, guys.
Hey, man.
Good afternoon. Man, this Kimberly Clark thing just really burns my ass. Like, you see this all the time. It's kind of like capitalism is all about, like, do business and screw everybody over in as many ways as possible, and as long as you're the bigger fish, it's okay, even if it's illegal, you know? But the Kimberly Clark thing, to me, I feel like is a big slap in the face to all Wisconsin people that have built that company and worked there for decades. I feel like we need to take the money that they're not paying and the money that they want from us and just poach a bunch of paper workers and say, hey, guys, we're going to start a whole new business, and Wisconsin's going to pay to start it, and we can split the proceeds with the state of Wisconsin, and workers can split it, you know?
Ian, the state of Wisconsin is dead last for entrepreneurship. As a small business owner in the state of Wisconsin, knowing there's very little access to capital, believe me, if you gave a lot of small operators like me, I mean, me and the wife borrowed some money last year and bought a little radio station. I think we're up to 8 or 9 employees. Well, I didn't get any sort of incentive from the government. I'm not getting 17 cents on the wage dollar to keep these people hired. And in fact, if I had another, let's call it $1 million, I might have 9 more employees. You know, small business is the driver of new employment in the state of Wisconsin and all across the nation and the world. Scott Walker doesn't get that. All he gets is rewarding the crony capitalist, rewarding with corporate welfare those from Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce who continue to pay to see his ass get reelected because they don't pay any taxes as long as he's the governor. Corporations, the most profitable manufacturers in the state of Wisconsin, pay zip, nada, zilch in taxation, including Kimberly-Clark 4 years in a row.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like people really want us to fall in the same mindset and believe like that's good. You know, like that's a healthy economical and decision. And as a country, you know, like we can't go all big. We need small. We need new. We need to innovate. It's the only way, man. You know.
Ian, anyway, we need to diversify, man. I think that's what the actual term is. You don't put all your eggs in the Foxconn basket, and then you got one leftover egg that you decided, hell, I'm going to throw that to Kimberly-Clark. And where are all the Republicans who want, you know,
fiscal sanity?
Well, but from a governmental standpoint, certainly. But what about true markets? I mean, is it a true market when the government walks in and hands a corporation billions of dollars to continue their operation? No, that's not a free market. That's a manipulated market. You know, think, I don't know, Solyndra Republicans.
Well, that's exactly the word that was on the tip of my tongue. How many Republicans did I... Solyndra.
Yes, many.
Obama donor Solyndra.
Many. Come on, who we kidding? Every Republican. They're all about free markets when it's a Democratic president, but when they're in charge and they're able to take advantage of the connections and the funneling of the dark money to their side, they don't give a damn about free markets. It's all about staying in power. Thanks for the call, Ian.
Dominic, the Foxconn deal, 9 times, 900% larger than Solyndra. Solyndra, $500 million. Foxconn, $4.5 billion and counting.
And it started out at $3 billion, by the way, to our one caller who was doing the math on the original. And we'll find out. Sanfilippo did say, well, those numbers have been updated. We'll find out. I'm going to find out if those numbers
What about the ancillary jobs?
Been updated.
You know, right in the video, there was supposed to be a Corning plant. Oh, yeah, Corning pulled out. There is no Corning plant.
Yeah, because Corning wasn't going to get the money because the Republicans couldn't do it because it didn't have the support.
Because they gave all the money to Foxconn.
844-967-2789. State your rage here. Curtis from West Allis, you're up. Thanks, man. What do you got?
I tell you, don't believe Scott Walker because you know what? I think that 2.5 years ago he said that he was running for president. He didn't go anywhere, so he had to come back. And then, 4 years before that, when he was running against Mary Burke, he said, I am not going to run for president. I'm going to be your governor.
Yep.
It wasn't 4 years. It was like 4 months before he announced his presidential campaign. He was, absolutely. 2014, ran against Mary Burke, kept talking about how committed he was to the taxpayers and the people, the hardworking taxpayers of the state of Wisconsin. And immediately after winning re-election, at his inauguration at the Capitol, were national donors like Fraser Freeze. The guy was at the Wisconsin State Capitol in the front row of Scott Walker's inauguration to be governor. And, he rolled out a State of the State address. Freedom, 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 freedom.
Freedom, 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 yes. Lots
and, of course,
freedom.
by January of 2015, he was at the Iowa Freedom, Freedom, Freedom Summit asking, for you to support his presidential ambitions.
Another thing is too. I don't know. I don't know if there's any people that bike ride the Sparta Elroy Trail up in Elroy and Kendall. It's trashed up there. Have you seen it? Have you been up that way?
No, sir.
Oh, it's terrible. I was just at the Sparta Elroy Trail, and there's actually bridges just standing there because there's no land touching the bridges anymore. And all the trees are down. In Kendall, they had like 4 or 5 foot of rain. 4 foot of water right down through the whole town, and it washed away like a lot of stuff. And anyway, Winker went up there, and he offered them, all the towns up there, $3,000 to borrow from the state of Wisconsin. And let me tell you, it was really good news talking to the old guys up there at the gas station, also young guys too, when I was doing the bike ride, because I was on the road, because the trail's all messed up. They were telling me, Walker, he's done up there, because he said if they can get that much money to Foxconn down here, he said they're not even doing nothing up here. And I don't know, even the side of the bluffs, I've never seen. You can see all these different states like South Carolina, North Carolina with all the floods, but when you see it hands on, when you see a whole bluff is missing, it's gone. It was like I can't believe it. There was like no trail.
And Walker will walk up and he said they can borrow $3,000 while they're giving this money away to Foxconn.
Per business. And the guy at the gas station told me you could $3,000 per business. And then this guy, he owns a welding shop up there, and all his equipment was floating, I guess, 4 foot of water.
Wow.
So now, and this is a small town, He says he's done. And Walker came by with FEMA and said, well, we can give you $3,000 per business on a loan, not just give it to you. And they're like, what's $3,000? Are you serious? So it's really nice to hear that up there, because I'm like, paint it blue, baby, paint it blue,
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's very sad if you guys do any shout-outs up there, let me tell you, the DNR needs money, because, it's terrible. The landscaping is terrible. It's just awful.
Curtis, I have not been up to the Elroy State Trail, but I can tell you the Pheasant Branch Conservancy in Middleton, our backyard is trashed. Floodwaters came through, significant floodwaters took out the vegetation, took out the paths, took out the bridges. It is trashed, and I can only imagine, if your business, if your home is in the path of those floodwaters, you were tremendously affected.
And if you didn't have flood insurance, you're screwed. And if you did have flood insurance, $3,000 might not even pay your deductible.
Dominic, can you imagine what we're doing with this Foxconn, this non-permeable Foxconn plant? We are exacerbating the flooding in southeastern Wisconsin. Of course, we're sending most of it downstream to Illinois, which in most circumstances I would have no big issue with. But the people in Illinois have the right not to be polluted by this Foxconn plant either. But this governor doesn't even believe in global climate change. Doesn't see any evidence, or at least would stick his head in the sand and keep cashing the checks.
There you go.
From the Koch brothers, from the petrochemical interest.
Georgia Pacific.
Well, let's not forget, Scott Walker, he loves him some oil money because it helps him get reelected. And then a little quid pro quo back. It's all good.
That's constituent services, I believe they call it.
Well, that's what he would call it. Write me a check. I'll give you back a big perk. Let's call it a perk.
People, that's why. Get out. Stay motivated. There is more of us than there are of them. No matter how much money they give, they can't go vote. You can go vote. Bring someone else to vote. Go vote. Vote the bastards out.
Vote early. Vote often. We are the Devil's Advocates. You can always join us here on the phones. Got one segment left today. Your call's welcome at 844-967-2789. Should talk about this little Republican Party.
Yeah.
This feel-good event over the weekend. Come back with us. We'll tell you all about it. You don't want to miss it. So you better stick around. Keep it locked. More Devils on the other side.
I love being governor. When you've got a state like this, there's nothing better than being governor out there.
I don't think the heavy stuff's going to come down for quite a while.
No, I'm going to stay for a while. How about that? Freedom.
Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison, resisting dirty carpets and harsh chemicals. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We're not using any soaps. We're not using any chemicals. We cost about the same as the other guys. You look at it and you go, where's the downside? You got a completely green clean. It's awesome. We guarantee it. There's no downside.
There's no downside. Use Zero Res. Call Zero Res today. 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
In-person absentee voting is now available in the state of Wisconsin. I want to encourage you. Go vote early. September 24th, voting begins in Milwaukee. Check with your city clerk to find out more. Vote now because you never know what might come up on Election Day. Secure your vote early. The more people who vote early, the easier it will be on Election Day for voters who can't. So go vote, Wisconsin. The polls are open now. This message brought to you by our friends at Wisconsin Voices.
Hi, Resistance Radio listeners. This is Kim Schrader, the president of the Milwaukee Teachers Education Association. We are the 4,600 educators who make Milwaukee's public education system possible. MTA members are the guardians of public education because every single day we are fighting to strengthen and protect public schools our students deserve. MTA educators are leading the fight in Milwaukee public schools for smaller class sizes, more recess, physical education, art, and music opportunities for every child in MPS. MTA educators are the champions for healthier school meals, positive discipline practices, equitable schools, and schools that partner with parents. MTA members are the guardians of public education, and we are proud to teach all children, regardless of their zip code. To learn more, follow us on Facebook at the Milwaukee Teachers Education Association.
Kicking ass and taking names since the Wisconsin Uprising. Dom and Crute are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Last segment of the day. Damn, time flies when you are having fun. 844-967-2789. I know we want to talk about this Republican Party they had in the 1st Congressional District. And I know we want to take some more callers, Crudy, but I would be remiss if I didn't play some of the most outstanding sound I have heard of the day. This is President Trump talking about how awful he would be if he was a drinker. Play it, Brian, please.
So if he did lie about his drinking, does that mean you'll pull his
I don't think he did.
Okay.
Look, here's what. I'm just saying, I'm not a drinker. I can honestly say I never had a beer in my life, okay?
Right.
It's one of my only good traits. I don't drink.
I agree on
Whenever
you.
they're looking for something good, I say, I never had a glass of alcohol. I've never had alcohol. I've just, for whatever reason. Can you imagine if I had? What a mess I'd be. I'd be the world's worst. But I never drank, okay? But I can tell you, I watched that hearing, and I watched a man saying that he did have difficulty as a young man.
I didn't hear that.
With drink. The one question I didn't ask is, how about the last 20 years? Have you had difficulty the last 20 years? Because nobody said anything bad about him in many, many years.
I like
go back
beer.
to high school.
I still like beer.
I love beer.
I graduated from high school, and I while I did not drink, I saw a lot of people drinking. They'd drink beer, and they'd go crazy, and, they were in high school. They were 16, 17 years old, and I saw a lot of it. Does that mean that they can't do something that they want to do with their life? So it's a very tough thing. I really believe that he was very strong on the fact that he drank a lot, and so I don't know where there'd be big discrepancy.
Okay, so
yes, go ahead, please.
Just to wrap up, can you promise
you know
to
what? You've really
release
had
FBI's
enough.
report?
Hey, you've had enough.
You've had enough. Wow, he's terrible. 844-967-2789.
Brian, is there something we got to be concerned about in there, big guy? Perhaps there is something we got to be concerned about. You go check it out, Dom. I'll take the caller. Pizza Box Mike, 844-967-2789. Be like Mike. Welcome. What do you got for us?
It's not a tumor anymore.
It's not a tumor.
It's pate on crackers. I'm waiting to serve it to whoever wants it. Hey, man, did you hear about the new dance?
What's that, Michael?
Kavanaugh Kegger? The Kavanaugh Kegger. You just, you dance, but you pretend like you're drunk, but we got to be careful. We don't want anybody to black out.
Michael, do you believe the man was a moderate beer drinker, just loves him some beer, but never passed out? Occasionally just fell asleep early.
I'm pretty sure I ran into him in Whitewater. That's about where his level is, man. No. He's clearly got issues with alcohol and a whole bunch of other things. I don't feel sorry for him, but he should get treatment. He should get treatment. He's a warped individual, but I'm loving this, man. He's going down. Trump had to back down because it makes him look better. Maybe he's transforming. That's the first time I've ever heard that guy tell the truth about something, admitting that he'd be the worst drunk.
Yeah, I think he's probably right on the money with that, Michael.
Well, had he drank his whole life, we probably never would have met him, so that's kind of a shame.
Okay, between the panelists, you know us pretty well. Who's the worst drunk on the panel?
Well,
come on, I know you want to say Crudy, but don't say Crudy.
I haven't seen you guys to the point where you reminded me of Kavanaugh. I know that you've had fun and stuff like that. You went to lacrosse, so both of you guys had issues. Let's just leave it at that.
We'd like to think we're professional drinkers. We've, put ourselves out there as pros.
Trump's the expert on thinking. And Kavanaugh's the expert on drinking. You can see where this is going.
Dom stepped out of the room. He doesn't realize you were too scared to call him the better of two drinkers.
Oh, you meant who's the better drinker?
Or the worse on the panel here. What's that?
No, I don't. I'm not a big drinker, guys. I quit for 20 years, and then when we started going to events and rallies and stuff together, I was the guy that would have like one and sit there for 3 hours because I went through alcoholic treatment, man. Ain't afraid to say it. But
yeah, I
that's I had one now.
And that's the thing, Pizza Box. We're all adults here now, and even as kids, I grew up out in the country, man. There was nothing really to do except go grab a case of Bud Light and go into a farm field and suck some brews down around a bonfire. That was kind of the thing. I could drive my pedal bike to the bar and get served at 15 years old by a bartender whose daughters were older than me in school. It was certainly part of the culture. But that's not a knock, and I'm not proud or whatever. It's just how it was.
Oh, he's proud. It's his crowning achievement of teenage delinquency.
But here's the point, is if I'm being asked about it, absolutely I drank. Yes. Believe it or not, sometimes I passed out. But here's the problem. If you passed out or blacked out, and those are not the same things, Michael, but if you blacked out, then you sometimes maybe put yourself into a situation where you don't know what you did, Biff Kavanaugh. So that's certainly the danger. He can't be honest because if he does, he incriminates himself.
You know what I did when I blacked out in high school? I used to drive everybody to the next party, and then when we got there, I'd be sitting on the couch, and this fuzz would clear from my eyes, and I'd be like, how did we get here?
Yeah, dangerous.
Yeah. Alcohol was not a good thing for man. But, you got to have fun, right? They always put restrictions on things. Like, I can't drive. I can drive right now. I can do all kinds of stuff except jump up and down and lift stuff. But anyway, I can drive as long as I'm not taking opiates. And I'm like, what's the point? I never have any fun.
Michael, you naughty boy. 844-967-2789. We bring out the worst or the best, depending on your point of view.
But there's nothing wrong with human nature, man, and there's nothing wrong with growing up and experimenting and going through life. But when you talk about assaulting people, when you talk about sexually assaulting and some of the things that he has been accused of, and then you see his reaction in front of these senators, it certainly throws up red flags. And regardless of what happens, whether he did it, did do it, he showed himself to not have the proper temperament that I would expect for someone on the Supreme Court. When I have a better temperament than the candidate for the Supreme Court, there is a problem.
Don't sell yourself short, young man. I've seen you blotto drunk, and you get kind of surly and threatening in those
I will
moments.
light mofos up if need be sometimes, Cootie.
I will shoot you in the face. 844-967-2789. Be like Mark from Pewaukee. Welcome, Mark. What's your thought?
I just can't help but laugh at what your comments and your callers are calling in at, because this is unbelievable.
Are you judging us, Mark?
I am, as you've judged Judge Kavanaugh.
How do you think he did in his latest performance, Mark? Did he seem judicial and reserved to you?
Yes, he did.
Really? The part where he's yelling back at the senators, asking them the same questions that they're asking him, you thought that was appropriate?
Did you ever do that in a job interview, Mark?
What I will say is he's in a job interview, not a court of law.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
He also is looking at one of the highest positions in the country, and the position that the Democrats put him in and how they treated him and his family and other senators getting coat hangers and this and that about if you vote for him and this and that. It's typical Democrat. This is the typical.
So you think Ford is lying, Mark? You think she's just making this all up for
I'm not saying she's lying.
Okay, so then what is your point then?
Where does the truth lie then, Mark?
The accuser has come forward and made the allegations. Now, at some point, you gotta come down on one side or the other.
This is the whole Democrat thing. It's guilty until proven innocent. But again,
then why didn't we do this to Neil Gorsuch, Mark?
Proven guilty.
Mark, why didn't Neil Gorsuch go through this? This was a very contentious Supreme Court seat stolen from Merrick Garland, in my opinion. They went to prep school. They both went to Ivy League colleges. Why didn't Neil Gorsuch face any of that?
You guys are still complaining.
Wait, well, answer the question, Mark.
Why don't you answer, Mark?
Why didn't this happen with Neil Gorsuch? I mean, if there was one to happen, it'd be that one.
Did that happen in the past?
Everything happens in the past, Mark.
Did. Okay. And did it happen in the past where the Republicans did not get their Supreme Court nominee approved because of the same situation?
About 25% of Supreme Court nominees do not pass muster, sir. And I would say Merrick Garland, you're never going to have an adequate response to Merrick Garland.
To Merrick Garland, answer my question.
What is your question?
The question was, didn't the same thing happen to the Republicans about 25 years ago?
To whom? You talking Clarence Thomas? What are you talking, Bork? Which?
No. I'm talking about where the Democrats were the first to start this, where in a presidential election.
No, that never happened, sir.
Yes, it did.
That's a false memory.
Yes, it did.
It never happened, Mark. If you want to know when America lost civility, I'd look at Brett Kavanaugh and Ken Starr and the treatment of the Clinton family during the investigation of the Whitewater land deal. Right?
I would totally agree with you. They should have looked at the whole.
They did. That witch hunt went on for years and years. And all they ultimately found was that Bill Clinton lied about a consensual sexual relationship with an intern. And I'm not saying that's right, Mark, but it was your boy Kavanaugh asking the very salacious questions. It was Kavanaugh that literally did that, asking sexual, prurient questions of the President of the United States. Now, you're telling me poor Brett Kavanaugh, he shouldn't get the same treatment 20 years later? Come on, Mark, you got to do a little better. You're going to call the Devil's Advocates radio show. Otherwise, I'm going to call you out as a whiny snowflake.
Thank you. Nice try, Mark. Try again tomorrow.
Thank you to our fine guest, Congressman Mark Pocan. Appreciate everyone for listening, including guys like Mark. Oh, you hung up. So sad. Crawl back in your conservative corner. You know, Whitey Talk Radio, they'll reinforce those opinions from here till Kavanaugh comes home. Thanks for listening. Do it again tomorrow. Josh Call, the next Attorney General, joining us in the 4 o'clock hour. Randy Bryce on Wednesday. You better tune in every day. Real Resistance Radio.
You sowed the wind. For decades to come, I fear that the whole country will reap the whirlwind.
Sign on with the devil.
Devil's Triangle.
That's right, I picked the wrong week. Quit drinking.
Don't worry, nobody's listening.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic